Trying again. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. Happy Valentine's Day to you and yours. We have so much news to bring you. We just had some audio issues, so I restarted the stream. We have McCabe. We have Avenatti. Leah doesn't want to talk about McCabe. It's like a curse word. We've got Bill Barr, Roger Stone. I mean, this has been a jam-packed
Michael
week.
Avenatti has been found guilty of extortion of Nike. Trump tweets out in support of Roger Stone. Bill Barr comes out and says, no, don't do any tweeting. We have coronavirus on the rise. I've got some crazy video for you, and it's Valentine's Day. So let's start off today with a good story.
So let's start out with this.
Let's start out with
Robert Bone sent us flowers.
Bone.
Thank you, Robert. They weren't here a second ago, and then I went and got them. Hopefully they'll stay there without doing much damage to them.
At Iwo Jima, at 104 years old, he decided to invite a little love into his life this Valentine's Day by asking the public to send him Valentine cards. He has received more than 200,000 love letters, and each says it is a personal part of his new history. So Major Bill White joins me now. Major White, thank you so much for being with us. Happy almost Valentine's Day.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you so much. So tell me a little bit about what inspired you to do this. I know that you've been keeping scrapbooks of special moments of your life for years and years, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. Why did you want people to send you these cards?
I have really no reason, no personal reason. It's just that saving cards, I guess, is part of my life.
So tell me a little bit about your service. I know that you served at Iwo Jima, and it's almost the 75th anniversary of that battle. I know that you were wounded there and that you received the Purple Heart on Iwo Jima, and we thank you for your service in that battle. Talk to me a little bit about the cards that you've received and the letters that you've received. What stands out to you among them?
I can't express any one particular. I've received, as you said, 200,000, and it just floors me. This is something that's never happened to me before in my life, and I doubt if it will ever happen again.
So what will you do with all of them? We're looking at pictures of them and all of the different envelopes addressed to you. We have some of those on the screen. What will you do with all these Valentines, Major White?
Well, the first thing I'll do is I'll get together with some of the top people who have been instrumental in my doing what I'm doing, and we'll make a selection of each one of them will have ideas of what they want to do would like to do with them, and then we will do whatever we can and hopefully make everybody happy.
Well, they're beautiful, and so many people responded to your request to receive these Valentines. I know somebody there thought this would be a fun thing to have for you. What do you think about, any thoughts on being 104, Major White? That's very impressive.
You just go from year to year, one year after the other, and right now I'm up to 104, working on 105, the same as a lot of other people do. But right now I'm considered to be the oldest living Marine in the Marine Corps. How about the other services? I don't know. I do not know. But I know that I'm theoretically the oldest member of the United States Marine Corps.
Well, it is our pleasure to spend a few minutes with you tonight, and we thank you so much for being with us, and we wish you...
So that was just so fun, and I was like, in the midst of all the craziness, there really are great people out there.
Yes.
And people do really care. And Michelle was saying something about if you don't have somebody for Valentine's Day, maybe today's over, but...
it's not over. It's only 6:30. You're in Ohio.
Well, you still have time, or even for next year
or tomorrow.
A lot of times, when it comes to Valentine's Day, we're all looking to be somebody's Valentine,
right?
But the Bible is really clear that it's better to give than to receive. And if maybe you take the step like Michelle has kind of done, and instead of
you did too, yeah.
waiting to be the one to receive, that you start to give to other people, then you can turn the day upside down. Because somehow there's something about Valentine's Day is people are never quite fulfilled because they're always wanting something more from somebody else, and you're never going to be fulfilled as long as you're waiting for somebody else to fulfill you.
I didn't get a chance to show you guys this, but I took a picture of a Valentine that my mom had made for me. Let me see if I can shrink this so I can see that you guys can see it. Back, I don't know, probably in like 1990. And it's in a scrapbook. And I had posted that on Facebook. And our mom always, I can't remember a year where she didn't do something for us for Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. And to me, we had nothing in our childhood, like absolutely nothing. And yet that is a memory those are memories that I cherish because my mom showed love for me. She encouraged me. And so instead of hearing me say that and thinking to yourself, I never had that, I don't have someone to do that for me, turn it around and think, oh, I could be that for somebody else. Maybe for a neighbor who doesn't have anybody that you could think of. So one of the biggest things what prompted this was I got on my Facebook and I had one friend that said, F Valentine's Day, it's all BS. I had another friend that was posting about having a broken heart and hating the day, and another friend that, just like, this is the worst holiday, it's all commercialized. And I thought to myself, okay, well, if you want to go it's just this commercialized holiday thing. Saint Valentine.
I have it up. Mom's little blog.
Okay, fought for, and Leah's going to read that part. On the 14th, he was beheaded. The 14th of February, Saint Valentine's Day. It was the next day where it was the children's exchanging pagan holiday thing. But
well, there's
it was because of Jesus's sacrifice, right, for us that prompted that kind of laying down and fighting for. Hang on, I have one more. I want to finish my thought.
Okay.
As far as it being a commercialized holiday, there's never a bad day to share Jesus's love with somebody. If in the world, Hallmark or chocolate sellers or flower sellers have tried to commandeer a day, and you know that somebody might be broken and they might be feeling like, I just, whatever. It doesn't take you supporting the chocolate makers, the card makers, or the flower makers to tell somebody that they are valued, they are special, and they are loved. You can just send them a message. You can tell them that you love them. You can find what someone's love language is, right? So tonight, we have rented a movie that my uncle will like, and we're going to get pizza for him. That's our Valentine's Day gift to our uncle. Whatever it is that you can find in somebody's love language to do, you don't have to support all of these things.
So there's a myth, we don't know how true it is or not, that the Valentinus, the Latin version of the name, was discussing the validity of Jesus. The judge put Valentinus to the test and brought him to the judge's adopted blind daughter. Valentinus succeeded in restoring the girl's sight. The Asturus would do whatever he asked. Valentinus, praying to God, laid his hands on her eyes, and the child's vision was restored. Immediately humbled, the judge asked Valentinus what he should do. An embellishment to this account states that before his execution, St. Valentine wrote a note to Asturus' daughter signed, "From your Valentine," which is said to have inspired today's romantic missives. So,
but he literally was beheaded on February 14th.
So Valentinus was later arrested again for continuing to evangelize and was sent to the prefect of Rome, to the emperor of Claudius, Gothius. Claudius took a liking to him until Valentinus tried to convince Claudius to embrace Christianity, whereupon Claudius refused and condemned Valentinus to death, commanding that Valentinus either renounce his faith or he would be beaten with clubs and beheaded. Valentinus refused, and Claudius's command was executed outside of the Flammian Gate, February 14th, 269. Immediately humbled, the judge asked Valentinus what... Oh, yeah, sorry, looks like... I think, there's another part of it. Immediately humbled after the girl's sight was restored, the judge asked Valentinus what he should do. Valentinus replied that all of the idols around the judge's house should be broken and that the judge should fast for 3 days and undergo the Christian sacrament of baptism. That judge obeyed and as a result freed all the Christian inmates under his authority. The judge, his family, and 44-member household, family members and servants were baptized. So he was an evangelist. The judge, different than Emperor Claudius, in his first case, became a Christian. And remembering that the gospel is the power of God unto salvation, remembering that God's love is preeminent, and adding to the little scrapbook thing Michelle found, my mom also made these little heart pillows out of some scrap fabric that she would
was
write.
Always doing that.
She would write beautiful things on there, but what she would write in there would be things like, as I come to later find out, they were confessions of faith.
Right.
You will, and instead of saying you will be great, she said you are great, making us believe that God's goodness was in us. And you can say, well, I didn't have that. Well, you can be that for somebody else because my mom didn't have that.
Right.
No one wrote my mom love letters. No one wrote my mom. My mom did not grow up with anyone giving, making her Valentine's or ever making her feel special. Her parents didn't make her feel special. In fact, she had a horrible childhood. But she started with us. And then, so you can start with you, and you can start with somebody else, and you can continue that on because we're giving it to you and giving it to others. So how great is it that my mom started this wonderful tradition to pass on? Okay, so
happy Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. We love you guys. I think Redneck said, "Girls, will you be my Valentine?" I think it's cheesy. But we are all, this is the Resistance Chicks family, okay? It's like in school we had the shoebox, mm-hmm. Okay? If I could, I would be handing you all out Valentines saying, be my Valentine, okay? So I'm so glad that you guys are here. Now, that's the exciting part of today. It's a beautiful day. God's love. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, then your joy will be full.
I have a gift for you. Here you go. Avenatti is found guilty in the Nike
Avenatti's Nike trial, and Dom Chu has the details. Dom.
How about guilty on all counts? All right, 3 counts here, guilty. This just being confirmed to us right now. Michael Avenatti, the disgraced lawyer that used to represent Stormy Daniels in her cases against then President Trump, is found guilty in New York for the extortion trial here. 3 counts of extortion now. Again, this was a trial that was highly kind of publicized because Michael Avenatti was accused of trying to blackmail or shake Nike down for about $25 million in an effort to try to get them to settle a case in which he said if they did not, that he would shave quote-unquote billions of dollars off their market cap. And this was a case closely followed, not just because of Avenatti himself as a personality, but because it affected a Dow component and the biggest athletic apparel maker out there in the world, Nike. So again, we'll follow this story as it develops here. But again, 3 counts in the extortion trial, all guilty. We'll send things back over.
So he's looking at prison time, okay? And I think that this article says, I think he's in a bit of a shock, says one of his defense attorneys. He's a fighter. As you know, he's staying strong.
Oh, yeah. He's a fighter.
Avenatti warned Nike's attorney that the claims could take billions off of your client's stock market capitalization. Prosecutors said Avenatti was motivated by a desperate need to get out from crushing personal debt for more than $11 million. He had said, I'm not effing around with this, and I'm not coming to play games, he told Nike's lawyers. You guys know enough now to know you've got a serious problem, he said, and it's worth more in exposure to me to just blow the lid on this thing. A few $1 million doesn't move the needle for me. Avenatti's lawyer
it moves the needle for a lot of people.
Urged the jurors that Avenatti was behaving to Nike's lawyer exactly how the clients wanted. He acted in good faith, he said. I don't know if you guys know this, but Avenatti is also being sued by Stormy Daniels, and he stole money from other clients to feed his, lavish lifestyle.
You said that you had sent me something on Facebook, but I don't have it.
No, that was, I did send you a
pig video.
I did.
We have a pig video for you, but it didn't come through.
So, I also have a, let's see, a video here of when journalists go If I can find it.
AKT Peter says, looks like he won't be president 2020 as CNN wanted us to believe.
Yeah.
That was a joke. That was,
No, some people thought it was real.
I know, but we all knew that it was a joke. Oh my gosh. There is justice. All right, so I do have, when we do get to Barr, I have my own take on that. I want you guys to be excited because I don't think it's all as weird as you think that it is.
Okay, let's remember how the media treated Michael Avenatti quite as their own little Valentine.
Worst nightmare, Michael Avenatti.
Joining us once again is Michael Avenatti.
Let's bring in Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti, thank you very much.
He's out there saving the country.
Don Meacham says he may be the savior of the republic.
You are something of a folk hero now.
I owe Michael Avenatti an apology. I've been saying enough already, Michael. I've seen you everywhere. What do you have left to say? I was wrong, brother. You have a lot to say. I am just dying to hear what you think.
These people all like you.
I'm the only person right here Donald Trump fears more than Robert Miller.
We think you guys are the tip of the spear that's going to take down Donald Trump.
Michael Avenatti's a beast.
Okay, that's true.
And
he's a beast.
He's a beast.
I hand it to her, and I hand it to Michael Avenatti.
But he has a bigger calling here. That being a lawyer is minimal compared to what he's doing.
No one has talked tougher directly to Donald Trump on TV than Michael Avenatti. And Donald Trump is afraid to mention his name. That's fascinating. Donald Trump is terrified of Michael Avenatti.
He gives Trump a run for his money more than anybody else, Michael Avenatti.
An existential threat to the Trump presidency.
The Democrats could learn something for you. You are messing with Trump a lot more than they are.
He has no doubt created sheer panic in Donald Trump's very fragile mind.
Michael Avenatti is laying down the law as guest co-host. And is he really thinking about running for president?
One reason why I'm taking you seriously as a contender is because of your presence on cable news.
You look at the field of Democrats right now, and Avenatti's the one who stands out.
If they decide they value a fighter most,
yes,
people would be foolish to underestimate Michael Avenatti.
I have always said that they need a fighter.
Look, I mean, we're going to continue to use the media. I think we've used it with great success.
Really, really, really. Oh, you might be going to jail, son.
No, he's going to jail.
You're going to jail.
This is, it's, I don't even know, I don't really have words for this. But, you know, and here's the thing. The only reason Avenatti is actually going to go to jail is because they mess with Nike. If it was the DOJ or something, he would get off.
It's pretty rough in there for some people behind bars there, and maybe for lawyers of ex-porn stars.
The fact that these people were just smiling with him, loving on him, thinking that he was going to be the next president. He faces 42 years in prison. 42
Now, okay,
years.
So speaking of fairness, I'm not sure that 42 years is... He's not going to get 42 years for one.
Well, no, but
number
this is
two,
an extortion case.
I think that when we see rapists and child molesters get off for like 3 years,
like 4 or 5 years,
and the justice system is skewed. You know why? Because people consider an assault against their money more serious than an assault against a human being and a child.
Yep. That's really true. That is really true. That's really true.
Say it again, Sam.
Really true.
Jim West says 42 years too much. 41 is okay.
That's funny. All right. Let's see. I think I'll go ahead and go. It's kind of hard to follow what's going on with Trump and Roger Stone. Maybe I'll just go. I don't know. There's so many different angles to take here. This week there were just this week alone were 4 cases against Trump supporters.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No. 3 acts of violence against Trump supporters this week. We have the Donald Trump is being ridiculed. They say they want to impeach him again because of his tweets about Roger Stone. Bill Barr is coming out castigating Trump, saying, "Don't tweet. You're making my job impossible."
Okay, first of all, did you actually watch him say that, or are you? No, and this is a valid question. Or are you just going by what you read on Twitter and people's tweets?
I have watched him say, "Hey, you need to stop doing.
Okay,
you need to stop tweeting."
But this latest video, okay, with Bill Barr, he comes out and he says, he doesn't mention Trump at all. As a matter of fact, the entire media has been coming out largely about Roger Stone and tweeting back and forth, regardless of what side you're on.
Is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah, and he says...
public statements and tweets made about the department, about our people in the department, our men and women here, about cases pending in the department, and about judges before whom we have cases, make it impossible for me to do my job.
But he wasn't addressing Trump specifically when he said that.
In the department, that we're doing our work with integrity.
Mr. Barr, the president does not like to be told what to do. He may not like what you're saying. Are you prepared for those ramifications?
Of course, as I said during my confirmation, I came in to serve as Attorney General. I am responsible for everything that happens in the department, but the thing I have most responsibility for are the issues that are brought to me for decision. And I will make those decisions based on what I think is the right thing to do, and I'm not going to be bullied or influenced by anybody. And I said at the time, whether it's Congress, newspaper, editorial boards, or the president, I'm going to do what I think is right. And, I think I cannot do my job here at the department with a constant background commentary that undercuts me.
Okay, so there is no question in my mind that Bill Barr was talking about President Trump when he said that. But there were a slew of background, a slew of background commentary going on. Nancy Pelosi weighed in. Everybody has been weighing in on Twitter. It's not just Donald Trump, okay? And I truly believe that Bill Barr is talking about everybody. Do I think that Bill Barr told the White House that he was going to say this before the interview? Absolutely, he told them. They knew he was going to say it. They were prepared. And I would dare say that they even supported him in saying that, because what it does is it creates this fanfare, and the mainstream media has bought it hook, line, and sinker. Oh, there's something going on between Barr and Trump. And Barr's swaying from, and that's exactly what we want them to think. That's exactly what the White House wants them to think. Do you think that the White House wants them to come out and say, oh, Bill Barr and Trump are, cozy, and Bill Barr's just Trump's dog on a leash? No, the White House wants people to think, and it is true.
Like Eric Holder said, he was he was Obama's wingman.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want that. The White House is going to be backing and supporting Bill Barr coming out and saying that, I believe, 100%.
That's interesting.
Bill Barr is allowed to have his own opinion, and Trump doesn't want people that just kiss up to him. Trump wants a guy as Attorney General that is going to say what he thinks.
So I want to bring you to former AG Whitaker, who I absolutely love. If there's like one person in the entire government who I trust like almost explicitly, it's AG Whitaker. I've seen him speak. He's tough. He's smart. He doesn't back down. Very, very, very few men like this, people like this in our government today at all. It's a setup to cause this exact kerfuffle, he says, with Laura Ingraham. So I'm going to play this. This is about Roger Stone and Trump, and it's all a setup. It's all been a setup to take down Trump. They knew that Trump would have to pardon Roger Stone. They knew that what happened is the prosecutors under the DOJ, under William Barr, said we're going to make this prosecution. We're going to the sentencing with Roger Stone. What do you think? And AG Barr told them, and I have a clip. I don't have the clip of that, but I watched a clip where he said, I was under the impression they told me they were going to ask the judge for a judge's sentencing recommendation. They made a 9-year sentencing recommendation. And then 4 people resigned when AG Barr said, "What are you doing?"
The 4 prosecutors
we are
against
winning.
Roger Stone.
It's very exciting. The prosecutors in this case resigned. There's a huge shakeup happening. It was very exciting. So it's kind of been a punch in the gut. It's like a Rocky movie. There are punches being thrown and landed on both sides. Okay, it was a huge punch in the gut with AG Barr stepping in and saying, "Wait, you lied," and then 4 people ended up resigning or being fired.
It was a
or
punch
whatever.
in the gut against them,
and then the punch in the gut with Andy McCabe not getting any prosecutorial.
And so, since you don't want to talk about that, I'm gonna say this.
No,
really
I will.
quickly.
I am going to talk about it.
Okay,
I am going to talk about it a tiny bit, but not right now. When I work up to it. Roger Stone's deep state prosecutors this week stunned the Attorney General's office by pushing for a sentence of 7 to 9 years for Roger Stone for a process crime in the Trump collusion hoax investigation. Remember, it is a process crime. There was no crime committed. Okay? He was caught up in a process crime. Andy McCabe he lied.
He admitted he lied.
Comey lied. Brennan lied. Clapper lied. Okay, so the DOJ disagreed with the recommendation, saying it was excessively and grossly disproportionate. And I have a clip with Tucker Carlson saying, Roger Stone better not.
Did you tweet it out?
Spend a day in jail. Well, I don't know. It might be. You can look at my tweets. The Department of Justice also said it was shocked at the excessive prison term being sought by Mueller's prosecutors because it wasn't what the DOJ initially briefed them on. This was all a setup to get reaction from Bill Barr and President Trump in order to start up a new smear campaign against Trump. That's what this is all about. So let's listen to A.G. Whitaker. Here we go.
Under him?
They absolutely all of the power.
These guys who quit, in other words, were they justified in? We're quitting because Bill Barr.
In fact,
were they political
actors? It's very clear from his interview that they had told him they were going to do quite the opposite, and then did exactly what he had said. No, let's go another direction, or a decision had been made, and they went the other direction anyway. This seems to be a little bit of a setup to cause this exact kerfuffle that we find, very much choreographed. And fundamentally, all of their power is derivative from the president and the attorney general. And if the attorney general is led to believe and says we should make this recommendation, and they don't, they shouldn't only resign; they should be concerned about being removed, because that is an insubordinate act.
I mean, this is Article 2. The president is the head of the executive branch. I mean, this gets lost on a lot of people. It's like these runaway detailees from the CIA or from some other department, or one prosecutor gets to run the show.
Well, and just remember, career doesn't mean nonpartisan. And we keep using that as interchangeable terms, and it just is not true.
All right.
So she made a really good point there, and a lot of people have made it, and no one's listening to it. And that is the fact that the president is the head of the executive branch, okay? And so if Donald Trump, why do presidents have the ability to pardon? Because they are the head of the executive branch.
Yeah.
Okay? And so it's not Trump just getting his friend off here. He is allowed to comment on this.
Right.
He is allowed to have discussions with the attorney general on this.
People don't realize the power that the United States president has, and what the Congress is trying to undercut the power and say we have all the power.
Exactly.
It's really crazy. So President Trump has responded to Bill Barr's rebuke of DOJ tweets, and he says, not bothered. President Trump is not bothered by A.G. Barr's statements rebuking Trump's tweets about the Justice Department cases. U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr said in an interview that Trump has never asked him to do anything in a criminal case. Barr also said Trump should stop tweeting, but the Trump president has never asked me to do anything in a criminal case, but should stop tweeting. I think it's time to stop tweeting about the Department of Justice criminal cases. And Trump had tweeted out on the 12th, and I am glad about it. 2 months in the jail for a swamp creature, yet 9 years recommended for Roger Stone, who was not even working for the Trump campaign. Gee, that sounds very fair. Rogue prosecutors, remember? Maybe the swamp. And then he goes on to say, is this the judge that put Paul Manafort in solitary confinement, something that not even mobster Al Capone had to endure? How did she treat crooked Hillary Clinton? Just asking. Now, do you have the Tucker Carlson clip?
I don't know where it would be.
Okay.
You said it wasn't on Twitter, so it's not on Twitter.
I didn't say it.
Well, no, it's not. I looked on Twitter. It's not on Twitter. If it's on YouTube, I can grab it. Otherwise, you can just play it behind you.
Okay. Well, this is Tom Fitton first. The Justice Department is in crisis. It's not because of Donald Trump. It's because of the misconduct of the attorneys throughout the agency.
President of Judicial Watch, who more than a few times has been accused of making the work of public servants in the Justice Department and various quarters of our political system well, difficult. Tom, good to have you with us.
Hey, thank you, Lou.
First, your reaction to Bill Barr, for whom I have immense respect and great hopes. But when he says the President of the United States is making his job tougher at a Justice Department that yet has to hold accountable anyone who so obviously and blatantly broke the law, your thoughts?
Well, you know, I would think the Attorney General's job is made more difficult by these Mueller holdovers that he allowed to be in place and outflank him on the Roger Stone sentencing recommendation, a recommendation that, according to the Attorney General, is contrary to what the law requires and would have resulted in a man serving more time in jail than necessary. I would think that makes it more difficult for him to do.
Yeah.
To complain about his boss holding the Justice Department to account, you know, I'm sure it makes his job a little bit tougher, but the bigger issue is what you went through piece by piece. The Justice Department is a locus of evil when it comes to the fair administration of justice. And at best, Barr is trying to ride the tiger, trying to figure out how to make these guys operate according to law, but it's a complete mess. And it's clear with the Mueller thing where he was outflanked that he hasn't gotten a handle on the personnel issues there. And that should be his priority, rather than complaining, frankly, about the president highlighting something the president has, in my view, a positive constitutional obligation to do, which is make sure the Justice Department isn't violating the rights of Americans.
This president is doing something that Americans are just, frankly, not used to. He is keeping his promises that he made as a candidate for the office he holds. He is also expressing himself fully, freely, and directly to the American people without going through the sage intermediaries of the national left-wing media. And
that's what they hate about it.
So do we need to have a press conference so that his little representative, or do you really just want to hear what Trump has to think?
Right.
I really want to hear what Trump has to think.
Can you say that? Is that a sentence? What Trump has to think?
Yeah.
What Trump is thinking, or
what does Trump have to think about
this?
What does Trump have to think about this? What does Trump have to say about this?
Right.
Yes. What is Trump thinking about this? I don't care which way you want to say it. My point is that they want us to go through the media. Oh, they want to hear a leak that said Trump's not happy about this.
Exactly.
And Trump's like, I don't play your stupid games.
I'll just tell you now, as far as AG Barr goes and him being upset about Trump's tweets, I kind of... I appreciate Trump going straight to Twitter, because otherwise they could try to catch him in a conversation with Bill Barr. Well, you've had a conversation with Trump, and so, you know, well, listen, Trump's just making his thoughts known to everybody.
Right.
What Bill Barr does with that is completely up to him. I don't think that Barr is as upset about Trump's tweets as he said that he is. I think that he is upset about the hoopla that people are making over his tweets, and that is what makes it impossible for him to do his job.
We've gotten to the point in our republic where everybody's putting their cards on the table, finally. And there's nobody, and even Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all these people, even the Andy McKays in the media, everybody's putting their cards on the table. And we finally get to see what people think about each other. Finally, it's fantastic.
No, it's just, I guess I am so disappointed in Bill Barr. I have to say this. You know, it's a damn shame when he doesn't get what this president has gone through and what the American people have gone through and what his charge is as Attorney General. And by God, if he's going to complain, I just want to endorse everything you said. Those are all things to complain about. But where the hell is the report? Where the hell are the indictments? Where the hell are the charges against the corrupt, the politically corrupt, deep state within the Justice Department, the FBI? And why in the hell aren't we hearing apologies from someone in that rancid, corrupt department about what they permitted? Because they had to have enablers by the dozens to pull off what they did. The 26 names that we can go through on the FBI and the Justice Department. But then to hear this Attorney General complain about this president who's fighting every one of those damn people to do the right thing and to get this country straightened out. And it's his mission to do so, not to carp about his boss. And by the way, I don't want to hear any crap about an independent Justice Department. This Justice Department, as does everyone, works for the president. It is part of the executive branch. Well, where the hell are the people talking about talking about John F. Kennedy putting Bobby Kennedy, his brother, in as AG? I mean, who are these people?
Well, and the Democratic left here, the establishment doesn't want the president to be able to be president. So he's not allowed to talk about the Justice Department. What if he called Bob Barr up and said, what's going on here? That would have been a scandal, too.
That's what
the
I
Justice
just said.
Department has this institutional approach that it is outside the control of the President of the United States, and to the degree it pursues that approach, it needs to be reined in significantly. And Bob Barr has fallen into a trap laid for him by these Mueller prosecutors, and now they've created another scandal for the next phase of the coup against him and Donald Trump. Because after all this passes, this current fight, it's going to come down to they are concerned that Barr might actually do the right thing, and they are desperate to do everything.
No, they're scared to
and
death
make up
that
everything to stop him from prosecuting the criminal gangs that targeted the president and other innocent Americans.
Absolutely. And I think it's pretty clear, too, that the radical Dems, the deep state, are combining in an effort to absolutely stop this president from fulfilling his charge now, which is, have you heard all of the talk about he's been vindictive, he's vengeful? How about he's just bringing justice to the people who these people were trying to destroy this man, his family, the presidency.
So somebody tries to assassinate the president, and he's like, I'm going to put him in jail. And everybody's like, you're vindictive, Lincoln. If Lincoln had survived and he put John Wilkes Booth in prison, it would have just been vindictive.
And to do it in full view of the national left-wing media, which is sold out and is embracing political corruption rather than their charter, which is to be the fourth estate and to be a check against such corruption.
A federal court just said publicly, we can't believe a darn thing the FBI is telling us on FISA warrants.
Absolutely.
And we have the Attorney General complaining about the president's tweets. It's remarkable.
And you're, I'm sure, getting just tons of documents that you've asked for from the Justice Department. I'm sure they're bringing them over in wheelbarrows in trying to enlarge the body of public knowledge as you request. Am I right?
They're in court defending Hillary. The suit today, the FBI and Seth Rich records, they didn't want to respond to us, even though we now know they have documents. So, we have a crisis at the Justice Department. We just have another set of documents, Lou. I don't know if you know this. Duncan Hunter, the Republican forced out of office through the prosecutors there, attended a Hillary Clinton campaign party. And they told the court the reason they were there was to provide advice in the case of a security incident. It turns out they were there because they wanted to be there. They said it was a fabulous party. Lying to the court, further suggesting another compromised investigation and prosecution of another Republican/conservative. The Justice Department is in crisis. It's not because Donald Trump's complaining about it. It's because of the misconduct of attorneys throughout the agency who are partisan, who think they can do whatever they want and get away with it.
Tom Fitton, thanks for not letting him get away with it, at least doing everything that anyone can. You and Judicial Watch during the Lord's work. Appreciate it.
Amen. And ain't that the truth? So when you go to exterminate some ground bees, them wasps, they might come out and they might try to sting you. And they come out and so what's happening right now we should be happy about.
Yes.
Because before they did it in secret, and now at least it's in the open, and you and I can talk about it.
Yes.
And you have people like Tom Fitton who are on the ground doing the legal work that you just heard him talk about. There are Justice Department documents on Seth Rich who they lied to him and said there weren't any. He's trying to get those documents, Freedom of Information Act. What you Steve Bannon, I don't know if I have that clip or not, but I'll just tell you, he is going on the offense for President Trump, and I really appreciate it on the kind of on the outside where he's best at right now. And he said there should be a church commission like there was after JFK. If you guys haven't seen our interview with Barry Jones, he is a JFK historian. And in his book, The Treasonous Cabal, he talks about the church commission, which happened after JFK's assassination, after Martin Luther King's assassination, after Bobby Kennedy's assassination. And there were even more assassinations, and there were suicides, and there were wrongful deaths. And so they had this commission. Congressmen got together and said, we have to do this assassination commission because people keep being murdered.
Right.
We need to stop the murder. And these are inside jobs, CIA, FBI. And while the Church Commission did uncover a lot, they didn't let you know a lot. A lot of that went into a vault. But just know that our own government, these unelected bureaucrats of J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, they were part of a treasonous cabal, as the book talks about, mobsters, and media. And what Patriot Gallery said is the media is supposed to be on the outside holding people accountable. Instead, they are MSNBC, ABC, even CBS, NBC. They are all the mouthpiece, New York Times, Washington Post, of the deep state. As you saw, what they did, that little clip with Michael Avenatti, they did that with everything anti-Trump. And so in exposing the fact that we have these unelected people, these career people in the FBI and the CIA who are controlling your life, controlling my life, and judges even. I have good news. Mitch McConnell is saying we are reshaping our country. We are confirming judges.
It's amazing. Oh my gosh.
At a record pace. They know, they're behind the scenes. Good judges who are going to get in there, and we're going to bring justice in. What you're going to see before Trump is elected, I don't even understand how so many vacancies are being filled, but they are. And you're going to see even like the Ninth Circuit Court is even starting to be a little bit reshaped. And so the Senate confirms judges. And so you're going to, you really want to hang on to the Senate. And that's the judges are where it's at, when, especially like in the Roger Stone case, where, and go ahead and you can probably play that clip there, where even with the judges in the Roger Stone case, Amy Brenham, she allowed people on the jury, and that was what was going wild and crazy yesterday on Twitter, where the jury foreman tweeted out about the raid on Roger Stone before the trial.
Meaning the highest seat in the jury that was against Roger Stone was already following the trial so much that she tweeted out her opinion about it. So she should have been recused herself. She should have had a discussion with the lawyers and the judges that were the judge that was choosing these.
Before you play that, I'll just lead juror in Roger Stone trial was left-wing former political candidate who despises Trump, and
she never should have been chosen.
Yeah. So Democrat president. Obviously, we're going to go back here a little bit. The lead juror in Roger Stone's trial is a former Democrat congressional candidate who hates President Trump and actively posted anti-Trump material online even during the trial. Tamika Hart admitted to being a Stone trial juror in a Facebook post expressing outrage over the 4 prosecutors who withdrew from his case on Tuesday in protest of the DOJ revising the longtime Trump advisor's recommended sentence of up to 9 years in prison for a process crime.
Is she dumber than a box of rocks? Because she's not allowed to weigh in on the case.
She probably is. While James Wolf, the former Senate Select Committee on Intelligence staffer who leaked a top-secret FISA application to his mistress, was sentenced to just 2 months in prison. I have kept my silence for months, she says. Initially, it was for my safety. Then I decided to remain silent out of fear of politicizing the matter, but I can't keep quiet any longer. CNN first reported Hart's post, but did not note that she was a Democrat. Commercial Appeal, a news outlet affiliated with the USA Today that spoke to Hart, reported details that her professional background. Those details match up with the same person who ran for Congress in 2012. Meanwhile, Hart, who was a Democrat congressional candidate in Tennessee in 2012, has a Twitter history littered with anti-Trump propaganda and was actively posted on social media during the trial. This, as attorney and journalist Technofog points out, raises questions over how she responded to the juror questionnaire, which asked specific questions regarding social media, the Mueller investigation, and running for public office.
So she lied.
Exactly. Roger Stone was convicted on November 15th, 2019. Here is the tweet from one of the jurors who voted to convict Roger Stone. And she tweeted out,
Hearts and a fist bump.
Exactly. Hearts and a fist bump. And then I'm sure she tweeted out the story there. So here she is with Donna Brazile.
There she is with Donna Brazile.
Of the utmost importance will be her responses to the jury's questions on the social media and Mueller investigation in running for office. If she answered in the negative, things get interesting. That's when Donald Trump tweeted out, now it looks like the foreperson in the jury in the Roger Stone case has significant bias. Add that to everything else, and this is not looking good for the Justice Department. Hello, hello, hello. One of the jurors of the Roger Stone show trial is the wife of an official who still works at the DOJ. How can you, that took down Roger Stone? You know, we used to do some research studies, and it would say, do you work for any of these, or does anybody in your household work for one of these? You can't serve on a jury when the DOJ is going after the person and your husband works for the DOJ.
Can I just state for 1 second here? Now, I believe in our democratic process and the justice system, okay? That being said, I personally don't ever want to be on a jury. Because of our show, because of what we do, they always say that if you ever stand on a jury, you're too stupid to get out of it, or you have a bias and you want to be there, okay? Because it's not that hard to get out of jury duty. It's not that, well, you have to go and sit to say, listen, I would have a bias. I've only gone in once, but I was listening to the case already considering how am I biased in this situation so I can tell them that. Like, because I didn't want to serve. But I was able to find, I'm just saying, there is that end aspect of it. But it's one more thing. If the odds to me in this case are too stacked. I'm sorry, I'm throwing a conspiracy theory out there. Y'all can call me crazy. You can call me crazy, whatever.
That she's picked.
She was picked. This isn't, I got a card in the mail. Oh, darn, I have to miss work. Or, oh, darn, you're a stay-at-home mom and you got to find a sitter for your kids. This is not one of those scenarios. It's too stacked.
It's worth noting Robert Mueller knew the Russian collusion was a farce when he went after Roger Stone. His goal was to catch Stone, like Flynn, in process crimes. Feed the media hysteria of a hoax Mueller knew to be untrue, and it wasn't Mueller, it was the 17 angry Democrats who were like, we want to just go after people, we want to catch them in process crimes. Roger Stone was persecuted, not prosecuted. It's Mueller's time in prison.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, go ahead and play the Tucker video there.
This is a pure political hit. Roger Stone is facing prison because he is a high-profile Donald Trump supporter. It's that simple. You want proof? Here it is. John Brennan and James Clapper will sleep at home tonight. Both have been caught lying under oath on camera about matters of national importance. And yet neither's in jail. Neither's been indicted. Neither ever will be. The Stone case, by contrast, was transparently political from day one. The lead prosecutor, Andrew Weissman, is now literally an MSNBC contributor. The judge in the case, Amy Berman Jackson, is an out-of-control Democratic partisan who purely out of spite stripped Roger Stone of his First Amendment rights and prevented him from making a living, coming on this show, for example, speaking at all in public. Now, Stone and his wife, who is 71 years old and deaf, have lost their home because of this. They have no insurance. They're utterly broke. The whole thing is shocking and it's disgusting. It's a farce that discredits the entire American justice system. The president seems to understand that. Cannot allow this miscarriage of justice, he tweeted recently. He's right on a couple of levels. What's happening to Roger Stone is totally wrong. It's immoral and we should not allow it in this country. But politically, it has significance too. Stone's prosecution was designed in part to confirm the fantasies that Democrats have constructed to explain the outcome of the 2016 election. His conviction helps their case. In other words, if the Russia collusion story was a hoax, and of course it most certainly was a hoax, then why is Roger Stone going to prison for his role in it? If Roger Stone serves even a single day behind bars, the Russia lie will be validated as true. Stone's imprisonment will be prima facie evidence in the view of Democrats. So at this point, there's really only one solution. The president must pardon Roger Stone or commute his sentence before he goes to jail. Democrats will howl if he does that. Well, they're howling anyway. They howl every day. Chuck Schumer is now yelping about yet another investigation into Roger Stone. Russiagate 2. In one entirely constitutional act, the president could save Roger Stone's life, vindicate himself, and end this nonsense forever.
So I love that Tucker knows that President Trump watches his show.
Yeah.
And I'm desperately hoping that he saw that plea of sanity from Tucker, because it's really important that President Trump understand he can't let this happen to Roger Stone.
Right. So, what she tweeted out, she said, I want to stand up for Aaron Zelinsky, the four person, Adam Jed, and these other people. Prosecutors on the Roger Stone trial. It pains me to see the DOJ now interfere with the hard work of the prosecutors. They acted with the utmost intelligence, integrity, and respect for our justice system. As foreperson of the jury, I made sure we went through every element of every charge, matching evidence presented in the case that led us to return a conviction of guilty on all 7 counts.
Are these people not given the rules, how you're not allowed to tweet about these things? You're not allowed to put it on social media. You're not allowed to talk about it.
In January 2019, she retweeted a post that noted Roger Stone has y'all talking about reviewing use of force guidelines before suggesting that racism was the reason for all the attention Stone's arrest had received from conservatives. She already tweeted out about Roger Stone. Gotta love it in response to a news report that a vulgarity had been projected onto Trump International Hotel. She tweeted out. And she called all Trump supporters racist in August of 2019. In January 2018, she shared an opinion piece entitled "What's so extremely uniquely wrong about Trump's presidency?" And then in March 24, 2019, she shared a Facebook post saying that Republicans who complained about Mueller's probe were deliberately ignoring the numerous indictments, guilty pleas, and convictions of 45 people in Trump's inner circle. All of this, most of Hart's posts were from before she was selected to sit in late 2019. But on November 15th, 2019, the day she voted to convict Stone on 7 counts, she tweeted 2 heart emojis, followed by 2 fist pump emojis.
Unbelievable. This is actually, so it's unbelievable that she is doing this, but it actually goes in Roger Stone's favor. I mean, this is actually really good news for Roger Stone, bad news for the justice system.
The judge in Stone's case has made it so he can't even speak out. That's against his First Amendment rights to even, the whole media has made him guilty. He hasn't even been able to come out and defend himself in the court.
And you have the right to defend yourself. Right. And the fact that if this, foreman in the jury, as a juror, tweets out about this and she doesn't get in trouble, and Stone can't talk, I mean, this is it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Right, exactly. So we're going to see where this goes, because the judge shot down a motion for a new trial, saying that even if she had some bias, it wasn't enough bias. So Molly Hemingway says, so much of the resistance created drama of the last 3 years, whether Russiagate, impeachment, DOJ revolt, etc., is about them pushing their strongly held view that political oversight of the administrative state is evil. It is in fact a constitutional imperative in our republic. They're literally saying, the DOJ, you can't question us.
Right.
But you can question the president, you can question Congress, but you can't question the DOJ. We are literally God. We know all things. We are totally unbiased. We are blind justice. No, they're human beings with horrible biases. So we'll see what happens with this, and I'm praying for Roger Stone. And I have one more video on this before we change topics. I've got Donald Trump here.
Are you considering a pardon for... I don't want to say that yet, but I tell you what, people were hurt viciously and badly by these corrupt people. And I want to thank, if you look at what happened, I want to thank the Justice Department for seeing this horrible thing. And I didn't speak to them, by the way, just so you understand. They saw the horribleness of a 9-year sentence for doing nothing. You have murderers and drug addicts, they don't get 9 years.
Rapists.
9 years for doing something that nobody even can define what he did. Somebody said he put out a tweet, and the tweet, you base it on that. We have killers, we have murderers all over the place, nothing happens, and then they put a man in jail and destroy his life, his family, his wife, his children. 9 years in jail, it's a disgrace. In the meantime, Comey walks around making book deals, the people that launched the scam investigation, and what they did is a disgrace. And hopefully it'll be treated fairly, everything else will be treated fairly.
So here's the deal. Let me comment on his commentary there. They asked President Trump a question, okay? President Trump answered that question in front of everybody, in front of all the cameras, okay? Now, you and I can listen to that and think to ourselves, I think any sound-minded person would say, whether you agree or whether you disagree with Trump's viewpoint on that as the president, he has a right to weigh in on it, okay? How is that different than his Twitter? Okay, I think what is happening is we have all these modern tech deniers. Okay, they want Twitter when it is beneficial to them, but they don't want Twitter when it comes to Donald Trump. I'm sorry. We live in a Twitter day and age. It's a new thing. It's new to me, guys. Like, it's weird. It's very weird that at any point, an actor who we don't know can tweet out about something and it go viral, or a nobody can tweet out about something and it go viral. It's weird. It's strange. But this is the world we live in. And if our president takes advantage of that to give us what he's thinking, oh my gosh, that's the best thing ever. Like, I always think about the presidents of old that had days where people could literally go to the White House and speak to him. We don't have that anymore, and it bothers us. We're like, but we can't talk to the president. He's untouchable. Twitter makes the president touchable again.
That's true. I like that.
Accessible.
Exactly.
We can have a literal conference.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah, no, you can. And that's
good.
Right.
Why they are so upset about it? Because it lays bare their dirty diapers.
And that is what makes Trump a person of the people. That's what makes Trump.
Now, you said there was another Tucker video on here that you had wanted me to play.
No, it's fine. I can't even come up with that. We're going to move on here. So here's a kind of a random. I'll see if my internet's actually going to work. Trump reveals Melania's cold response to Nancy Pelosi's impeachment speech. President Trump revealed First Lady Melania Trump's icy response to Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's impeachment comments in a new interview. She is a person that started on impeachment and lost. She goes down as a loser, which she is, Trump said about Pelosi. And he said, I don't know if there's a video here or not. I just read it. It was said sadistically, impeached forever. If you watch the way she says that with the hatred and the venom coming out of her ears, you just take a look at that hatred that was pouring out of her when she said that. And she said, Melania in particular was not happy with Pelosi. My wife was sitting here and watched it and said, oh my, that was horrible. So I thought that was...
I love her so much.
She spent the day with kids in a hospital.
She spent the day with... Of course she did.
Right.
She's unbelievable. She's absolutely unbelievable.
All right. So, I'm going to go over here to, did you guys, I guess you guys have, okay, I'm going to rant a few extra puzzle pieces I'm going to put together before I go to all the Trump supporters that are getting beat up this week. AG Barr installs outside prosecutor review the abuse case against General Flynn. I've been following the Flynn case. It's hard to follow. They file motions to dismiss. They file motions that the motion to dismiss was not accepted, but then she filed a motion to withdraw the guilty plea, and he's looking into that. And there's a whole bunch of stuff happening here. We know that the 302s for Michael Flynn were altered. So Bill Barr has assigned an outside prosecutor to review the abuse case against General Mike Flynn. Barr also assigned a handful of prosecutors to review other cases in the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. U.S. Attorney in St. Louis, Jeff Jensen, is one of the prosecutors handling the Flynn case. Attorney General William Barr has assigned an outside prosecutor to scrutinize the criminal case against Michael Flynn. He has installed a handful of outside prosecutors to broadly review the handling of other... Now, you'll understand that these other prosecutors outside, like U.S. attorneys that outside of the office in D.C. have a much cooler head. Mm-hmm. D.C. is just a swamp. So the U.S. Attorney in St. Louis has been amazing. You know, we've got Durham. Yeah. You've got some other people outside of the D.C. bubble who can look at these things. So you have a lot of U.S. attorneys who are actually good, believe it or not. You have a lot of state attorney generals. These are people who are just lawyers who run. Right. And a lot of these state attorney generals are really good patriots. Just like if you would run for any other office instead of running for Congress, though I'm going to run for the state attorney general office, and they're actually pretty decent human beings. So Attorney General William Barr has assigned outside prosecutors to scrutinize the criminal case against Flynn, and a handful of prosecutors to look at other cases. So we'll see where that goes.
Are you going to do Andy McCabe?
I have.
Are you going to do it after people get beat
right
up?
now?
Right now.
U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu recommended criminal charges against McCabe in September. Liu resigns and the DOJ drops charges against McCabe. Then U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu in September formally recommended pursuing criminal charges against former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. The charges against McCabe were related to his false statements to feds in the February and the FBI's investigation into Hillary Clinton. McCabe was criminally referred to the U.S. Attorney's Office for Prosecution in spring of 2018 after the DOJ Inspector General found McCabe lied to federal prosecutors. McCabe's staunch supporters were convinced his arrest was imminent, given the DOJ rejected McCabe's last-minute appeal. Fox News previously reported U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu has recommended moving forward charges against Andrew McCabe. Fox News has learned as the Justice Department rejects a last-ditch appeal from the former top FBI official. McCabe, the former deputy and acting director of the FBI, appealed the decision of the U.S. Attorney for Washington all the way up to Jeffrey Rosen. The Deputy Attorney General has rejected that request. A source close to McCabe's legal team said that they received an email from the DOJ which said the department rejected your appeal of the United States Attorney General's decision in this matter. So what happened at the DOJ between September and today that caused a huge reversal on McCabe's imminent indictment? Jesse Liu, who recommended criminal charges against McCabe, resigned this week after Trump withdrew her nomination for a job at the Treasury Department.
And that was for a lot deeper things, by the way. There was a lot going on there, and all they're talking about is just that.
Liu was involved in several Mueller cases, including the prosecution of General Flynn and Roger Stone. So Trump was like, no, I don't want you to go to the Treasury Department. Corrupt U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu resigns from Trump administration following nomination withdrawal. The former U.S. Attorney who oversaw Roger Stone and Mike Flynn prosecutions resigned this week after Trump withdrew her nomination for a job at the Treasury Department. The former U.S. Attorney whose office oversaw Roger Stone prosecution resigned from Trump administration Wednesday, 2 days after President Donald Trump abruptly withdrew her nomination for a top job at the Treasury Department. Liu was involved in the Maria Butina case, where a young woman sat in prison due to the fact that she was set up by the deep state FBI. The information related to the FBI's setup was never provided to her or her attorneys, in spite of numerous requests from the defense for this information. Liu was also involved in the Concord management case. This case has been a mess since day one. The government alleged numerous lies about the company in order to tie the Mueller sham to Russia. Mueller's team stated Concord and its sister company Concord Catering were involved in spreading news on Facebook that impacted the U.S. election. The problem is Concord Catering wasn't even in existence at the time that they were indicted by Mueller, and the Mueller team was never able to tie Russians to Concord Management, which spent only $3,000 on Facebook ads and supposedly impacted the 2016 election. The conservative treehouse outlines Liu's involvement in the James Wolfe cover-up and how she dropped most charges against him, allowing him to plead guilty to only one count of making false statements to the Fed. Recall James Wolfe was indicted for leaking classified information from the Senate Intel Committee to journalists, including Ali Watkins, a New York Times reporter he was having an affair with. James Wolfe leaked classified information, and he only got hit with one count of lying to the feds. Unbelievable. The conservative treehouse connects the dots between James Wolfe, the Senate Intel chairman Mark Warner, so you can see all of this craziness, and she oversaw all of this and let it go.
The point is, everybody's trying to say that Trump withdrew her nomination for the Treasury Department because of the Roger Stone case, when actually she had a laundry list of things that she had going on that were so wrong that she was already on the president's radar or the president's people's radar to say, you know what? Her nomination should not be there. You need to withdraw that. And so President Trump does. And then what it looks like is President Trump withdrew her nomination because of the Roger Stone case when it wasn't. And then we have the ramification of what happens with that is she was the prosecutor against the Andrew McCabe case. And what happens with Andrew McCabe after she resigns, okay, is the DOJ drops charges against him. And that's where we stand today. Now, it seems like a gut punch because you want to see Andrew McCabe charged. My theory on this, and you can take it with a grain of salt, is that when it comes to, you look at the big laundry list of people that were charged and who was not charged for lying. It's all about this stupid lying thing. I think that Bill Barr took this one. Let Andrew McCabe be the one that you take for the team so that he could then drop the charges against Roger Stone. That's what I think.
We'll see. That you're wishful thinking, but that's positive. John Durham continues to focus on John Brennan's role in the genesis of the notorious Russian collusion hoax. In October, news broke that attorney William Barr and U.S. Prosecutor John Durham were expanding their investigation on the origin of the Russian collusion hoax. Better yet, Durham was looking at Obama lackeys, a former James Clapper, and John Brennan. In December, the New York Times reported that federal prosecutor John Durham is investigating former CIA Director John Brennan's role in the 2016 election. Durham has called for Brennan's emails, call logs, and other documents. The conservative treehouse highlighted a New York Times report this week on the John Durham investigation. The Durham team is reportedly looking at how the U.S. intelligence community during the Obama administration came up with their judgments that Russia was working with the Trump administration to defeat Hillary Clinton. It is clear that it's recent information that the deep state is focusing on John Brennan, James Comey, and other top members in the intelligence community. The analysis could have been engaged in standard bureaucratic behavior like obeying. So I'm not even going to go into that. But my point is that Durham is looking into these people. It could be they're letting McCabe go after these other guys. We'll see. The bigger fish to fry. That definitely could be.
So many things are shaking up, guys. It's like you said earlier in the show. Mm-hmm. This is a fight. Mm-hmm. Punches get thrown. Mm-hmm. Punches hit people's faces on both sides in this. And but the good news is we win. In the end, we will win. We are winning.
Right. All right. So we've got this, and I have a laundry list. First of all, we had the guy who, and I'm going to bring that up, I think, the guy who drove into Florida Trump Get Out the Voters and almost killed a bunch of people.
Is that on your Twitter?
No, that one's not. We have the ex-NYPD cop was punched at his Nashville birthday party for actually wearing a hat that said "Make 50 Great Again." It was mistaken for a MAGA hat. A retired NYPD detective says a woman punched him in the face in Nashville over the weekend because his hat looked like a MAGA cap. Staten Island resident Daniel Sprague told the Post he was celebrating his 50th birthday party with his wife and friends at the stage on Broadway on Friday when he was assaulted by a woman he didn't know. He says, "I was outside with my friends when someone grabbed me from behind, spun me around, and punched me in the face. At first, I thought it was a friend until I got hit. I couldn't believe someone would get that upset. In reality, his cap was emblazoned with the words Make 50 Great Again, while his shirt was decorated with an American flag that read Making America Great Since 1970. The bar's bouncers kicked them both out. All night, where people were giving me the thumbs up or smiles or some showing rage until they walked up close and saw what the hat said. Then they would wish me happy birthday." He was baffled by the vitriol and said he showed respect for the politicians he didn't like. He says, "I love Trump, but I wouldn't hit somebody for a Bernie hat. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I wasn't an Obama fan, but if he walked into a place where I would show him the respect of the office." The suspect grabbed his hat from his head and punched him in the face. He stated that when the suspect hit him in the face, he did not hit her back.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. So then we have, let's see. a New Hampshire man who was arrested on Thursday after allegedly assaulting a 15-year-old and his parent and 2 adults at a polling site during the state's first in the nation primary earlier this week.
Look at this guy. Look at the face. This is the guy. I mean,
do you have him? Okay.
Yeah.
A New Hampshire man was arrested Thursday. The teen's mother said in an exclusive interview with Fox News after the arrest that her son is traumatized. The Windham Police Department said Patrick Bradley, 34 of Windham, was charged with simple assault and disorderly conduct. Fox News has learned the suspect got in the face of the teenage boy who was wearing a Make America Great Again hat and volunteering at the Trump tent at Windham High School, a polling location for the New Hampshire primary. Police said the incident happened Tuesday as Bradley exited the voting location inside the high school and was walking by a Trump campaign tent occupied by several supporters. As he passed by the tent, police said, Bradley slapped a 15-year-old kid across the face and then assaulted 2 other adults who attempted to intercede. He is also accused of throwing Trump campaign signs and attempting to knock over the campaign tent. In an interview with Fox News, the boy's mother, Kathy Campbell, described the incident involving her son. Let me see if we can come up with
You know, this is Trump derangement syndrome.
Oh, absolutely.
TDS. This is exactly what it looks like. These people have literally lost
their minds.
Mm-hmm. They can't function as normal people in society. We are seeing this with people that we know, and I blame the mainstream media.
Right.
It's pure craziness, the way that they are so angry.
Right.
They can't control themselves. They feel like their life is awful, and I think it's demonic oppression.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is. It definitely is. And this comes on the heels of this guy ramming his car into... Oh, the thing came off.
It's all right. It doesn't hold its...
Gregory Tim is arrested after driving his van into a Republican tent in a Walmart parking lot. Hang on.
Give it a second.
Give it a second.
Oh, my. Mayor says attack seems political.
The man allegedly rammed his van into a voter registration tent full of volunteers. 27-year-old Gregory Tim made his first court appearance yesterday. Police say he even started recording before taking off after the crash. That crash got the attention
Doesn't he
of
look
President
like a crazed
Trump.
white supremacist?
I'm John Bachman.
I'm Tanika Hughes. It happened at a Walmart in East Arlington near Kernan, and that's where Action News Jax Bridget Manor joins us live. Bridget, you did ask JSO if this is being considered a hate crime.
And Tanika, they have not responded to that question if this is being considered a hate crime. This is a report for Gregory Tim. It says here that he had agreed to talk to police about the incident, but what he said, it's completely redacted, so we don't know what he said about it. Today, the Republican Party of Duval County, along with Mayor Lenny Curry, held a news conference to address one of their tents being rammed into by a van over the weekend. 27-year-old Gregory Tim is sitting in jail after police say he ran into a Republican voter registration tent. Several people in the Republican Party of Duval County were registering people to vote when this van rammed into the tent, leaving this behind. I asked the mayor if he believes this is politically motivated, despite police not laying that out in their report.
This individual drove up to a tent that was clearly registering voters with Donald Trump's name and attire around them and drove a vehicle at volunteers. So that's what we know at this point. Looks like a political attack to me.
No one was hurt in the incident, but Tim was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault on a person 65 years or older, criminal mischief, and driving with a suspended license. This is video of him in court smirking and nodding to our cameras. The official police report released says Tim agreed to speak with police, but the paragraph after is redacted. We also asked Dean Black, the chairman of the Republican Party of Duval County, if the suspect said anything to the victims.
No one reported anything that he's...
So I think that there's a little bit more to this. I think I might have this article up. Let's see. Media-approved hate crimes against Trump supporters explode post-acquittal. We do know that he did come out and said he did this because he hates Trump. And so there is He says okay. The Florida man who drove into the tent said he did it because he does not like Trump. And then the Jacksonville sheriff's officer did say that he advised that he does not like President Trump after officers interviewed him at his residence the day after the alleged attack. The report added that another reason he drove is because I like someone pooping on your grave, whatever that he meant. And the third motivation was redacted. So we do know that multiple victims were forced to scramble away from the tent to avoid being killed. He could have killed somebody.
I think Adeline said it should have been attempted murder.
It should have been attempted murder. It should have been attempted murder. Definitely. The car knocked over the tent and several tables and chairs. When he got out of the car, he took his phone and flipped off the victims. I would say definitely.
This is.
Yeah.
I mean,
the suspect
These
was upset.
people need mental help.
He said the suspect was upset that the video ended before the good part.
You're kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So, this just keeps going and going. There's been 308 media-approved hate crimes against Trump supporters. Violence against Trump supporters is surging of late, so Breitbart News is updating a list of some credibly reported hate crimes against Trump supporters since September 2015. These reported crimes include physical assaults, vandalism, and actual murder, and encouraging violence against individuals and groups based on only their personal beliefs. Sadly, these crimes have been approved and encouraged by the media establishment, either through the media's open calls for violence against us or the media's revealing and deafening indifference. When the corporate media want to stop Americans from engaging in certain behavior, say a rodeo clown wearing an Obama mask or a meme mocking CNN, the media launched jihads to destroy the individuals engaged in that behavior. But when it comes to violence against President Trump and his supporters, this is only met with the media's silence or a shrug. Thanks to corporate media, every law-abiding citizen in America is in danger. And never forget that the same media are using their multi-billion-dollar lobbying power to disarm us and to ensure that we are helpless. And never forget that the violence against us will only get worse as the 2020 presidential election heats up.
So just yesterday, we have a man threatening to cut throats of Arizona State students for a Trump event.
Yeah, and then we had the New Mexico GOP headquarters vandalized on February 10th. The California GOP headquarters vandalized for the 6th time in 2 years on the 10th. On February 12th, the UC Santa Cruz College Republican display is destroyed and vandalized.
This date's wrong.
On the 12th, 14-year-old boy wearing Trump hat assaulted. Man threatens to cut throats of Arizona. You said that. Man in Make America Great Again hat assaulted. Flag set on fire in pickup truck with a pro-Trump sticker. Man stabs, kills pro-Trump boss. Drapes American flag over him. I did not hear about that one. That's crazy. Then we have an assailant sprays Representative Dan Bishop's son in the face while vandalizing North Carolina State, last Turning Point USA.
August, we have a couple arrested for attacking a MAGA hat wearing Trump supporter. So it's like a couple attacking one person.
So this list is 289 attacks against Trump supporters. It's absolutely...
Or cases, because I saw in some of those that I was reading that there were multiple attacks. Like one person is going after like a neighbor that had like, Trump stickers or whatever, and they just keep going like multiple attacks.
So a leftist at the University of California this week in Santa Cruz was caught on video getting into a physical altercation with members of the school's college Republican student group, as well as with free speech activist Hayden Williams. Moments later, the individual was seen spitting on an American flag. So here we have leftists attacking the college Republicans, tabling for free.
Yeah, buddy!
Could you turn this down?
I think this guy's trying to assault me. I got it. Hey, fuck your shit.
Curse words, bleep, 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 bleep. Sorry for your children.
Get a life, honestly.
You get a life.
You get a life.
No. Here, get on camera.
You're on camera, smile.
Okay.
Report to police department.
You're gonna get stopped.
Alright.
David, you follow her, I'm following her.
That's just absolutely insane. It's just absolutely insane. It just keeps going and going. So, yeah, just this week, there's been...
French Tutu on YouTube says that they were on a corner with Trump signs and they had water bottles thrown at them.
So the ASP police told us yesterday they need help identifying this student who threatened to slash Republican throats.
Every fucking Republican!
There was more curse words.
Say that one more time. Slash Republican throats! Slash fascist throats! Death to fascists!
See, and that's just like, it's not sane. Like that person has that's what you would see somebody having a mental episode. That's how they would react.
So this is the New Hampshire man charged with assaulting the teen. Donald Trump Jr. had tweeted out, it turns out that I actually met this 15-year-old victim shortly before he was attacked.
Wow.
And so Donald Trump has since called the young man here that you see here, just a cute little young guy. Donald Trump Jr. tweeted out yesterday. So a leftist attacks 3 Trump supporters, including a 15-year-old child in New Hampshire this week. Last week, a deranged leftist attempted to run over a group of Trump supporters with a car in Florida. What will it take for the MSM to finally call out left-wing violence? And in order to bring balance to all of this, there's this fantastic article that I'm going to let Michelle go over, and maybe you even want to bring it up so people can read it while you're reading it. And if you need me to tweet it out so you can see it.
Shared it.
After attending a Trump rally, I realized Democrats are not ready for 2020. This is a woman who's been a Democrat for 20 years. But she went to a Trump rally, realized they're not horrible, awful people. And if you have it up, it's
have it up.
It was an amazing article because she is a knitter. And she found that, like, in this knitting world, there are a bunch of left-wing crazies who like cancel culture people.
Right.
And she didn't like that. She said it was, this kind of, like, horrible awfulness. And she's like, well, maybe I will go see what's on the other side. Let me go see, because I think, I've heard that they were really pretty bad. Let me go see how just bad they are. And it might be far.
I see that. I just shared it yesterday. People have been sharing a lot of. If you guys are not following us on Facebook, you should. There's a lot of stuff here. There it is.
Oh, you got it.
I got it. All right.
And actually, Donald Trump Jr. tweeted this out. It's had a
Everybody's
lot of
really
reads.
is sharing it because you feel it's such excitement when you read it.
Okay.
She says, I think those of us on the left need to take a long look in the mirror and have an honest conversation about what's going on. If you had told me 3 years ago that I would ever attend a Donald Trump rally, I would have laughed and assured you that was never going to happen. Heck, if you had told me I would do it 3 months ago, I probably would have done the same thing. So how did I find myself among 11,000 plus Trump supporters in Manchester, New Hampshire? Believe it or not, it all started with knitting. You might not think of the knitting world as a particularly political community, but you'd be wrong. Many knitters are active in social justice communities and love to discuss the revolutionary role knitters have played in our culture. I started noticing this about a year ago, particularly on Instagram. I knit as a way to relax and escape the drama of real life, not to further engage with it, but it was impossible to ignore over roving gangs of online social justice warriors started going after anyone in the knitting community who was not lockstep in their ideology. Knitting stars on Instagram were bullied and mobbed by hundreds of people for seemingly innocuous offenses. One man got mobbed so badly that he had a nervous breakdown and was admitted to a hospital on suicide watch. Many things were not right about the hatred, and witnessing the vitriol coming from those I had aligned myself with politically was a massive wake-up call. You see, I was one of those Democrats who considered anyone who voted for Trump a racist. I thought they were horrible, yes, even deplorable, and worked very hard to eliminate their voices from my spaces by unfriending or blocking people who spoke about their support of him, however minor their comments. I watched a lot of MSNBC, was convinced that everything he had done was horrible, that he hated anyone who wasn't a straight white man, and that he had no redeeming qualities. We heard that literally from our friend who was attacking us on Facebook. She said he has no redeeming qualities. But when I witnessed the amount of hate coming from the left in this small niche knitting community, I started questioning everything. I started making a proactive effort to break my echo chamber by listening to voices I thought I would disagree with. I wanted to understand their perspective, believing it would confirm that they were filled with hate for anyone who wasn't like them. That turned out not to be the case. The more voices outside the left that I listened to, the more I realized that these were not bad people. They were not racists, Nazis, or white supremacists. We had differences of opinions on social and economic issues, but a difference of opinion does not make your opponent inherently evil. And they could justify their opinions using arguments rather than the shouting and ranting I saw coming from my side of the aisle. I started to discover, or perhaps rediscover, the hashtag walkaway movement. I had heard about the hashtag walkaway movement when MSNBC told me it was fake and a bunch of Russian bots. But then I started to meet real people who had been Democrats and made the decision to leave because they could not stand the way the left was behaving. I watched town halls they led with different minority communities, all available in their entirety on YouTube, and I saw sane, rational discussion from people of all different races, backgrounds, orientations, and experiences. I joined the Facebook group for the community and saw stories popping up daily of people sharing why they were leaving the Democrat Party. This wasn't fake. These people are not Russian bots. Moreover, it felt like a breath of fresh air. There was not a universal agreement in this group. Some were Trump supporters, some weren't. But they talked and shared their perspective without shouting or rage or trying to cancel each other. I started to question everything. How many stories had I been sold that weren't true? What if my perception of the other side is wrong? How is it possible that half the country is overtly racist? Is it possible that Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing and I had been suffering from it for the past 3 years? And the biggest question of all was this: did I hate Trump so much that I wanted to see my country fail just to spite him and everyone who voted for him? Fast forward to the New Hampshire primary, and we have all of the politicians running around the state making their case. I've seen almost every Democrat candidate in person and noticed that their messages were almost universally one of doom and gloom, not only focusing on the obvious disagreements with Donald Trump, but also making sure to emphasize that the country is a horribly racist place. Now, I do believe there are very real issues when it comes to race that we as a society have yet to reckon with. I believe that everyone from every background of every gender should have equal access to opportunities, and that no one is inherently more or less valuable or worthy than anyone else.
To where she goes to the Trump.
I agree with her on that, by the way.
She was really nervous.
All right, she says, I'm not going to lie, I was nervous. So I thought I would start my day in familiar territory on MSNBC live show that was taking place a few blocks away from the rally. I decided to wear my red hat that looked like a Trump hat, but with one small difference. It says, make speech free again, as my small protest against cancel culture. I even got a photo with MSNBC host Ari Melber while I was wearing it just for kicks. The funny thing about that hat is that it's completely open to interpretation. When I wear it around left-leaning people, they think I'm thinking about the right. When I wear it around the right-leaning folks, they think I'm talking about the left. It's a stark reminder of how much our own perspectives and biases play into how we view the world.
So I'm going to just explain that she talked to people on the left. They said, don't go over there. And one offered mace and they feared for her safety. So then she talks to some friends on the right and said, don't go to the left. They're going to, and she's like, why is everybody so afraid of everybody's safety? Well, now we know why. So she goes in to the rally, and you can start down here. It was so difficult than any political event she'd ever been to.
Even the energy around Barack Obama in 2008 didn't feel like this. So I headed over an hour and a half before the doors opened, were scheduled to open, which was 4 hours before Trump was set to take the stage, and the line already stretched a mile from the entrance to the arena. As I waited, I chatted with folks around me, and contrary to all fears expressed, they were so nice. I was not harassed or intimidated, and I was never in fear of my safety, even for a moment. These were average, everyday people. They were veterans, school teachers, and small business owners who had come from all over the place for the thrill of attending this rally. They were upbeat and excited and chanting and chatting. I even let it slip that I was a Democrat. The reaction? Good for you. Welcome. Once we got inside, the atmosphere was jubilant. It was more like attending a rock concert than a political rally. People were genuinely enjoying themselves. Some were even dancing to music being played over the loudspeakers. It was so different than any other political event I had ever attended. Even then, that's where she says even the energy in Barack Obama in 2008 didn't match that. I had attended an event with all the Democratic contenders just 2 days prior in exactly the same arena, and the contrast was stark. First, Trump completely filled the arena all the way up to the top. Even with every major Democrat candidate in attendance the other night, the campaigns giving away free tickets, the Democrats did not do that. With Trump, every single person was unified around a singular goal. With the Democrats, the audience booed over candidates they didn't like and got into literal shouting matches with each other. With Trump, there was a genuinely optimistic view of the future. With Democrats, it was doom and gloom. With Trump, there was a genuine feeling of pride of being an American. With the Democrats, they emphasized that the country was a racist place from top to bottom. And then she goes on, she has a couple of things about Trump that she doesn't really like, but she's thought to herself, some people say that obviously because they're having a great time, they're a cult. And she says, I don't think this is true. The reality is that many people I spoke to do disagree with Trump on things. They don't always like his attitude. They wish he wouldn't tweet so much. People that are in cults don't question their leaders. The people I spoke with did, but the pros in their eyes far outweighed the cons. They don't love him because they think he's perfect. They love him despite his flaws because they think he has their back.
That's probably good.
So I will put a link to this in the description so you guys can read the entire thing and share it. But what was so encouraging about that is this is her right here. You, Dr. Carlin, you get a real raw first, inside peek into the mind of a Democrat who has seen it from both sides.
In the 2016 primary, I voted for Bernie. I really did not like Hillary. I did not want to vote for Hillary when she ended up winning, and I kind of had to work myself up. I had to, but no, I've never voted for a Republican in my life. So that's my background.
And she's now officially walked
I wanted to
away
say
from the
that that's
Democrat
it's not unusual what they're doing to you, as I'm sure you know. They
And she has been raked over
and
the
even in that
coals
comment
for
thread
this.
on my wall, I'm sure you saw it, but help me understand.
I thought, he's the most realistic choice that could win it.
So she
that
voted
I
for
would make.
Buttigieg for a Democrat. But I just wanted to let you guys know there are some people to continue to get the information out there because people are changing their minds. People are...
The walkaway movement, #walkaway, is by Brandon Straka, is the greatest thing I think that has happened to our political... whatever you want to call it, landscape in a really long time. It gives people an avenue to say, you know what? I don't like what's going on in my party. I think there were probably a lot of Republicans prior to Trump that wished there was a #walkaway from the Republican Party movement.
And what's very interesting is I'm going to play for you these other clips that she's obviously a Bernie supporter and happy with kind of the socialist policies.
Yeah.
But other Democrats are not so happy with the Bernie Sanders.
In all due respect, is a political hack who said very terrible things when he was working for Clinton against Barack Obama. I think he said some of the same things. Look, we are taking on the establishment. This is no secret to anybody. We're taking on the wall. I guess the former head of Goldman Sachs attacked me yesterday.
The critics say again and again, Governor, that Bernie Sanders dodges the point. James Carville is challenging Sanders on his government takeover policies. Carville says the Democrats are, quote, losing their damn minds, saying if we go the way of the British Labour Party, if we nominate our Jeremy Corbyn, it's going to be the end of days. He's scared to death. Watch this.
There's a certain part of the Democratic Party that wants us to be a cult. I'm not interested in being in a cult. Some people in this country want a revolution. They want disruption. I don't know what, they scream at people. They go and bully people. And I don't know how you win an election. I'm 78 years old, standing up screaming in a microphone about the revolution. But you got to give people an alternative.
By the way, that Socialist Party took Iran's side during the Iranian hostage crisis. Do you see James Carville's point? They're yelling, they're bullying, everybody's fighting and screaming past each other. When James Carville is just saying, look at the policies. Democrats in Congress say, look at the policies.
No, I think exactly right. And it's a point that was made in Wisconsin years ago when I had 100,000 protesters in a recall election. In the end, not only did we rally Republican voters, independent voters overwhelmingly came our way because our policies worked and they were tired of all the yelling and screaming and protest. I think Carville's right, whether he intended to be or not. He actually filed up again last night after Bernie Sanders attacked him as a hack and said he's a hack, but at least he's not a communist. And that's exactly what Bernie Sanders is. There's a reason why most Democrats in the Senate don't want a government takeover that takes health care away from as many as 180 million people having private health care plans. That's a government takeover that people don't want. That happens in communist countries, and it can't happen, but it will if Bernie Sanders is elected.
Governor Walker, Your Honor, thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you, my friend. Come back soon.
So the Democrats, even the mainstream media is coming out pretty strong against Bernie. It's an interesting thing to just watch from the outside because there's really nothing we can do about it. Corrupt media hid this until now. Joe Biden told a group of black mayors last year that black parents can't read or write themselves. Joe Biden shocked a group.
Don't you remember that?
black mayors last year when he told them black parents can't read or write themselves. This is a kind of a, I don't know if I thought
he is so racist. I mean, the fact that they even put Biden forth is a joke. Yeah. He's just blatantly racist. Everybody knows. And to say that Trump is, there are no sound bites of Trump saying anything that anybody could misconstrue as racist. And yet, there's all this stuff from Biden that everybody goes, oh, that was racist.
It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. Yeah, it's pretty bad. All right, so I think it's time to move on to
coronavirus.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm not exactly sure where to start, so let me just start somewhere.
Okay.
We
had a massive uptick in numbers overnight yesterday. Now they are claiming and reporting that is from them modifying the criteria that would indicate, that you actually have the virus. The fact of the matter is that they don't have good testing for this. Right. They sent out a bunch of tests to all 50 states, 70% of which were faulty. Like they were saying, people didn't have it when they did. They don't have a good way to test for this. They have gotten to the point where in Wuhan, and in different places where they don't have enough testing kits, they're using CAT scans and MRIs, and they're just looking at for pneumonia and stuff. You can have pneumonia and not have coronavirus,
right? Okay, so here are the voices.
You can have coronavirus and not have pneumonia.
Here are the voices from Wuhan.
Makes his way into the House chamber. We're waiting that. Of course, we're going to go.
This I wanted you guys just to watch on your own. It was actually Michelle can put it in there. The State of the Union, what they said from the gunner's wife. It's hilarious. I want you guys to watch that. So here are some of the voices from Wuhan that China has tried to censor. Wuhan, the epicenter of the coronavirus attack, has been under lockdown since January 23rd. Its 11 million residents have been shut off from the outside world for more than 2 weeks. The once hustling and bustling city is now a ghost town. And if you look through my Twitter, you can bring up you'll see the videos that anything that has an Asian person, I'm sure. You can bring
play
those
them
up.
On mute or bring them up.
Put them to the side so they're all up, and we can do them one by one.
Okay.
So somebody has I'm not sure who it is. A political cartoonist, Bitchute Chow, is a political cartoonist and human rights activist the Chinese government is hunting. He recently started a worthy project by voluntarily translating diaries written by Wuhanese in the lockdown city. So kind of want to give you an idea of what is happening there, okay? On January 27th, somebody says, I urge my family to stock more food and daily supplies for the possibility of a quarantine. They called me a drama queen. I have to go shopping by myself for the extra supplies for the coming 2 days. On the third day, the city lockdown began. Now my family no longer question my decisions. Every day from this online group to another, some people are calling for help from their loved ones. Some friends need help from their grandparents. Some schoolmates need help for their mom and dad. They are the people I know.
Sorry, guys.
Who are helpless. On January 28th, somebody says, Wuhan people have been living under great tension for a while. They need an outlet to blow off steam. The day before yesterday, our community already had a few people calling back and forth from window to window. My dad said, just wait till the epidemic is over. January 29th, I cried softly as I read the article, Mom passed away in Wuhan quarantine. I forwarded the article to my mother, telling her she must take good care of herself so I don't become a motherless child. Today I went out for a while. Returning home was even more of a pain. Standing in the front hallway, I had to take off my jacket, my pants, shoes, face mask, gloves, bend my face mask backward, cut it with scissors, tie it securely, then put it in a special trash container. I had to turn all the clothes inside out, fold them, carry them to the balcony to get some sunshine. Then I had to go to the washroom to wash my hands. Once I finished washing, I went back to the balcony, sprayed my clothing with disinfectant, then went back to the washroom to wash my hands again. This is not the flu. Has anybody ever gone through that for the flu? The death rate the same as the flu? No, people are dying before their eyes. If it was the flu, it'd be people having some coughing, having some nasal decongestant, and they're over it. No, people are dying at a huge rate. My aunt received a confirmed diagnosis of coronavirus infection. In addition, her son, my cousin, Also has a fever and shows symptoms. My mom cried many times today. I cannot find any comforting words. I only have the selfish thought that my mom is okay at least. I just want to reiterate that concealing the truth at the beginning and the preventable, controllable narrative of the media should be responsible for this. It is very hard to change ordinary people's habits. February 2nd. These are all different people. There was a suicide yesterday.
Yep.
It is said a diagnosed patient couldn't get hospitalized due to an overload. He was worried about infecting his wife and children by returning home. Public transport was unavailability, meant he would have to walk a very long distance to and from the hospital to get treated. Therefore, he jumped off the Wuhan Yangtze Bridge. This is not the first suicide. What Chinese censors don't want you to know, there are many more Wuhan diary threads on Twitter. I encourage you to read them and share them, since Bitchute is doing this very honorable and voluntary work. I also recommend you check out the online workshop to support work. Fang Fang is a Wuhan-based writer. I grew up reading her work and always loved her outspokenness and straightforward writing. Mainland China has banned one of her novels, Soft Burial. Fang currently lives in Wuhan. After she learned the news of the passing of Dr. Li Wenliang, who, if you guys didn't know, the first doctor who was a whistleblower is a Christian, was a Christian. I say he is a Christian because he died, but he is a Christian, and he left a beautiful note behind for his wife and children, for the world. And Christianity is spreading, so there's a lot of good news out of this, as horrible as it is. After she learned about him being one of the 8 whistleblowers who warned the public about the coronavirus in December, she wrote an essay titled Li Wenliang was the light in the darkness. Imagine that, because he was a Christian. Chinese censors quickly deleted her post. Fortunately, it was widely shared. And I don't know if you can take this Federalist and put it in the thing, but
I've got it up behind us.
So
but yeah, I can put the link in there.
This I wanted to give you guys an idea of the awfulness of what is happening, but there's some good news. Christians are boldly sharing the gospel in the streets of China's coronavirus because nobody's going out. About 350 Americans are arriving home from China after leaving the coronavirus hot zone, touching down in California. Let's see. There are an estimated 100 million Christians in China who often face persecution in the communist nation, and so this is the CBN network is saying that Christians are boldly sharing their faith.
Well, because usually you can get arrested for that, but the police have this virus to contend with,
right?
That they're not having to face that.
So Christians wear the masks themselves as they talk to people about Jesus on the streets. You can also prevent prosecution by the Chinese government, since the masks help conceal a person's identity. Second, Christians are handing out masks to people on the street.
That's awesome.
Along with the masks, they're handing out gospel tracts.
That's awesome.
CBN News Asian correspondent Lucille Tulasan said that since the people of Wuhan are facing fearful uncertainty in the midst of the coronavirus epidemic, some have become receptive to Christ at this time. There are Christians, a ministry in Wuhan. They go out on the streets. They're very courageous. They give out masks, and they say that they are Christians and that they share the love of Christ and point to Jesus to bring hope to them and their families in the whole of China. This is really a breakthrough. As the rate of infection soars, Americans and foreigners are evacuating.
So don't move on from that topic, though, because it's really important to understand something. We live in the United States where we're used to going into a public restroom or something like that, and we see a track and we kind of ignore it, because even as Christians we do. We just go, it's a track, whatever. It's not, who's really going to get saved by reading a track? People actually do get saved by reading tracks. But in China, the gospel of Jesus Christ has been so censored and so suppressed and so held down that when people read this, they're reading it for the first time. Here in the United States, a lot of people have heard about Jesus, and then like a track, and they kind of just throw it to the side because they don't want it. When people in China are seeing these tracks, it's like, what is this? I've never even heard the name Jesus. What is this Jesus?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty powerful.
Second U.S. government-sponsored evacuation of Americans from the epicenter of the outbreak. The virus has killed nearly 500 and infected more than 24,000. The vast majority of cases remain confined to China thanks to extreme measures containing the spread. Medical experts preached caution and that wearing a mask might not be enough.
For people who have no symptoms, the mask will not necessarily protect them 100%.
This hospital in China, built in little more than a week, can care for 1,000 patients, and Chinese officials are putting drones in the air to spray disinfectant. Casinos in the Chinese territory of Macau closed for at least 2 weeks. Off the coast of Japan, a cruise ship quarantined after a passenger tested positive. Meanwhile, in Wuhan, ground zero for the outbreak, courageous Christians take the opportunity to spread the good news of Jesus, handing out masks along with Christian literature.
They share the love of Christ and point to Jesus to bring hope to them and their families and the whole China. And this is really a breakthrough.
So that was it.
Do you want me to play some of these videos you got?
Yeah, so this is what I'm most excited about was that it was the love of Christ and Christianity being spread. But yeah, there's a couple videos here. Check this out.
These are people at work?
Just a few miles east of Tiananmen Square is one of Beijing's most popular hang-up.
I thought it was me.
It's you. All right. No, this is just on a repeat. This people literally, you're not supposed to ever put a plastic bag on your head. That's so bad.
I don't know. Their whole office is covered in plastic.
I don't think it's doing anything. Like, I think it's just making life miserable. I don't think it's protecting people.
I can't even imagine. So here, 2 citizen journalists go missing. You can,
李文亮医生死了。
All right, when Dr. Wingling went missing, he has been posting videos about the coronavirus epidemic. Now, 2 activist friends say he has disappeared. I'm sorry, lawyer Chen Kuishi is missing. My WeChat account has been shut down. Our friends are very anxious about whether Wuhan authorities will come to find me. His videos show crowded hospitals and body bags around for cremation. Ben has been stopped posting videos on social media. On February 7th, he said police were watching his apartment. He is the 2nd citizen journalist said to be missing. Chen Kuishi has been out of contact since February 6th. It's really scary. It's really, really scary. Here's the deal, guys. These numbers are not in keeping with the hysteria.
Yeah.
With the measures that they are taking, the numbers don't line up with that. It's whatever is happening, whatever the numbers are.
You had a Steve Bannon on with a guy from China.
A billionaire.
Bring that up. You could just tell him if you want to.
No, I'll just tell him because I don't know who sent that to me, so I don't know where it's at. But I was watching this video of this Chinese billionaire. He's not in China right now, but he was in a chat with Steve Bannon and on somebody else's channel, and I'll try to find it and put it in the description so you guys can watch it for yourselves. And he's like, you don't understand. These numbers are like 30 to 50,000 dead. Okay, I've got an inside source. Now, a backstory on these ex-billionaires in China, briefly, Leah. These Chinese billionaires that get out of China. And
then they come and talk about communism. And they want to keep their billions of dollars.
Exactly. Okay. But they are legit people and they still have inside sources. You don't get to be a billionaire in China. This is what I wanted you to say. You don't get to be a billionaire in China without having the highest up authorities as your not counterparts, but whatever. So anyway, he was saying these numbers are just, there's millions infected. And they are cremating the bodies to cover it up.
And the bigger cover up is the mainstream media, who Twitter banned Zero Hedge after publishing an article relaying a conspiracy theory that a Chinese scientist might be to blame for the coronavirus attack. But you have CBS saying that it's possibly...
Ted Kemp is the managing editor for CNBC International Digital. He is based in Singapore, and he just made it into work Ted, good evening.
Could be a
Eastern
biological
time here.
weapon.
Good morning to you. How are things changing in Singapore on the streets and alleyways there?
Well, you know, I would say that for the most part, life is carrying on more or less as usual. There are little differences to everything. You know, we have some flexibility in the hours that people are working, for example. You're seeing public commute be a lot lighter than you would see normally. A lot more people wearing masks than usual. But for the most part, we're carrying on business as usual.
Has your family, are you with your family there, or have you told visitors?
They're in St. Louis.
Ahead. We appreciate it, Ted Kemp in Singapore. Dr. Gottlieb, I want to come back to you as Meg digests some of these numbers that we have just seen, and it certainly does appear that this big leap, 14,000 new cases in Hubei alone, a lot of them in the epicenter of the virus, Wuhan, were people who had started to present some symptoms, but maybe not been totally diagnosed yet, but now they are.
I think that that's right, based on what we're reading, and we're trying to translate from the Chinese text that was posted online tonight, just moments ago. I would also turn your attention to comments from the CDC director here in the United States that were out just this evening, where there seems to be a shift in the tone of health officials here in the United States, where they're starting to put out messages that there's more of an expectation that we will have secondary spread here in the United States. There will be small outbreaks. Again, we can deal with that. We can try to contain them, and those strategies may work. But I think there's a growing expectation that we will have more cases in the United States, and they won't just be imported cases. There'll be cases that are the result of secondary spread, people coming into this country who are then transmitting the virus to other people who are already here, and leading to some small outbreaks.
So you said basically a couple of things as takeaways. I'm going to ask you to stick around as we go to Eunice Yoon in Beijing. One of the things is that you need to watch what's happening in Singapore and other places like that. Now let's go to Eunice Yoon in Beijing with some color and context on these latest numbers, which are quite alarming out of Hubei province. Eunice.
Yeah, that's right, Tyler. The number looks very big. It's 14,840. And just to break it down a little bit, this includes confirmed cases in the way that the Chinese had previously defined it, as well as a new category, which is called clinically diagnosed cases. So in the past, they're categorizing these cases, but potentially because we understand in the
cases based on CT scan, that would suggest that these patients are probably pretty sick, because the findings on CT scan that you would see consistent with coronavirus would be a lot of inflammation in the lungs, particularly in the lower airway. And so these patients probably are pretty sick, the ones that are being now scoped into those official numbers.
And Eunice, one quick follow-up on the number of deaths being so much more than we've seen. Do you get the sense that that is, as you indicated, for perhaps the jump in case numbers as well, a compilation over a few days? Why would that death number rise so much, if you have any clue to that now?
Eunice, did you hear that question?
Oh, sorry. I didn't. I thought you were talking to Dr. Gottlieb.
Phrase it again.
Apologies, Eunice. I was just asking if there's any...
Don't actually think it's a compilation of the past couple of days, because those probably, the dead would have been counted earlier. So I think that to me was the most alarming number, that the dead had jumped so significantly from the previous day, especially in light of the fact that the authorities have been really showcasing the fact that the numbers of confirmed cases have been dropping to try to calm people and say that their prevention and control mechanisms have been quite successful.
One more question for you, Eunice, before I go. What are you sensing as you come to work in the morning? Are you sensing a different kind of response, a more intense response?
So I don't know. I guess that might not be the clip, because it said that it was the clip. Let me see.
Eunice, it's now COVID-19. Are people calling it? Am I pronouncing that right? COVID-19 is the name.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the area. I guess Corona is CO, and then V is the virus, and 19. The way that it actually came about, is there scuttlebutt over there on whether it was naturally occurring, or on whether maybe there was, SARS has been in a lab, and there are these containment labs, and SARS has gotten out a few times. That's documented already. Is there scuttlebutt?
Yeah.
Is there what's the current thinking on whether this was natural or some type of bioengineered strain that got out?
I think the vast majority of people still believe that it is that it originated from the wet market because if you go into wet markets in China, and I presume that the one in Wuhan is the same, you do have a lot of different animals that are in very close quarters with people. It's not exactly the cleanest environment, so that is the...
Oh, wait, sorry. That's the current thinking? Yep.
The vast majority of people believe that. But as you said, there are plenty of theories out there that perhaps because Wuhan does have a lab there, and it's a P4 lab, and there was a biochemical weapons expert who went from the Chinese military, who's there now, who was there to look at some of these testing kits and to try to expedite the availability of these testing kits. That because she is there, that maybe this was man-made, and there's a theory that it could have been a part of a bioweapons program. But that's just theory. And I also heard a counter theory, which is that this is the Americans that have created this, and that the reason for that is because the Americans want to make money off of the Chinese by creating a problem here and then creating a solution in the form of a vaccine or a treatment. So there are a lot of different, there's just a lot of stuff going out there.
They fired the one individual, and then they did install this she's a major general in the military, and she is a chief bioweapons expert. I don't know. If they don't want us to think that, I don't know why they're doing things that just sort of, I don't know, it just feeds the...
Well, her name is Chen Wei, and she actually has a lot of experience with SARS.
So it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
She's known as somebody who has the experience, during the SARS outbreak.
So she's obviously running point for the Chinese government.
Mm-hmm. She's doing a good job.
And the rest of us are just sitting here like, it really looks like a biological weapon, and the Chinese are like, don't say that. Don't say that.
No.
You may not say that.
Really, you hit the nail on the head, though. That is why the Chinese are refusing help from the Americans. They're refusing help from anybody around the world.
And did you see how she came back? Well, some people are saying that
it's the Americans.
The Americans did this. So, to, make money off of, a way to fix it. So, if you want to go down that route, we'll just, tit for tat. Okay?
Oh, my gosh. No,
Wasn't that pretty
actually...
gross,
Oh, but it's sad because I think a lot of the Chinese are being fed this line. Yeah. Along with being fed the line of this, that's a naked person, right there. Sorry. Being fed the line that these numbers are way lower. They're literally padding them to calm the public.
Yeah, so China's ability to censor information, not just inside the mainland China, but outside, has been crazy. China is well known for communism and the censorship of non-government approved ideas. When those who think they have power over the thoughts and ideas of others begin to silence, oppression is clearly reality. Vice spoke to dozens of WeChat users in the U.S. and Canada, as well as some users in UK, France, Spain, Australia, Germany, and Malaysia, who reported identical problems with their accounts as they try to share information with their family and friends in China. The restrictions will prevent international users from sending any information to contacts in China. In some cases, they have also had their accounts suspended or blocked completely and accused of spreading malicious rumors. In many cases, the censorship means only communications linked to people inside of China has been cut off completely.
It's unbelievable.
If someone attempts to get information that is not approved by the Chinese government to people living under the tyranny there, they will be silenced if not punished. The WeChat is a unit of Tencent, one of China's largest tech companies, which also happens to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Now users in the U.S. are calling for Congress to intervene to preserve their freedom of speech. However, free speech is all but dead in the U.S. too, and politicians claiming authority over the rest of us are unlikely to do much of anything about it. There aren't much better, you've got YouTube deleting people, censoring people, Facebook, Google. We're not allowed to, it's like you're literally stuck in a box on what you're allowed to even say about this.
So,
even in the United States.
Zero Hedge called it out. Now, I didn't know this until I just read this line here, okay? Zero Hedge says, in fact, the WHO and Google have been working together to censor coronavirus information.
Yeah.
When I watched the video of the World Health Organization woman come out, and she is feeding the lie
right.
that of the bat soup. Okay, of the seafood market.
That sound like such a conspiracy theory?
When I was listening to her, I'm going, oh my gosh, the WHO is in on this. Oh my gosh, is anybody else seeing the WHO is in on this?
Right.
Thank you, Zero Hedge.
It's just bad soup. It's not because they want to keep their biological warfare weapon places open. Oh my gosh. If they feel like
the WHO, the World Health Organization, is in on all these biological warfare things. Like, they're all in on it.
So this extremely virulent coronavirus, which is sweeping through China's Hubei province like wildfire, will eventually gain foothold in the United States, becoming a community virus this year or next year, according to CDC director Robert Redfield.
Obviously be a significant investment.
On the same day, the CDC confirmed the 15th U.S. coronavirus case. I went inside the agency's Emergency Operations Center with Director Dr. Robert Redfield.
And this is CNN.
How good is the public health infrastructure at reporting in?
To give you an idea of how rapidly the situation is changing.
By the way, the numbers changed. I can tell you that it's actually 15 there.
It's a lot to keep up with.
What is the worst case scenario here in the United States?
So far, we've been able to contain it, but I think this virus is probably with us beyond this season or beyond this year, and I think eventually the virus will find a foothold and we will get community-based transmission, and you can start to think of it in a sense like
vaccine. This is what they want to do. There's nothing you can do about it. If you don't want to die, you have to get the vaccine.
A seasonal flu. The only difference is we don't understand this virus.
Which is exactly why the CDC wants to be on the ground in China. It's probably Redfield's biggest frustration.
Right now, there's no evidence to me that this outbreak is at all under control. It's definitely not controlled, and the sooner we can help them.
This is a biological weapon, and they want to do a vaccine for a biological weapon.
So I guess that does raise the question: why are we sitting here in Atlanta talking about this versus the CDC being in China collecting some of this data?
I don't think it's a medical decision that we're not being invited in.
What do you think it is?
Well, I think it's above the medical.
You think it's a political decision?
I think it's above the medical. I don't think the director of CDC is making that decision.
You think it's a political decision?
Well, I think it's. All I can say is I think it's above the director of CDC because I know he would love to have us a system.
China has accepted help from the World Health Organization. The CDC is waiting to hear whether it's going to be a part of that team. In the meantime, Redfield says his priority is to keep Americans safe.
Our whole issue right now is, as I said, aggressive containment to try to give us more time. It's going to take, 1 to 2 years to get that probably developed and out to prepare the health system.
He didn't say vaccine. He said to give us 1 to 2 years to get that developed and out. What developed, Michelle?
A vaccine.
Michelle.
To be able to be flexible enough to deal with the potential second major cause of respiratory illness.
To deal with possibly the second major cause of respiratory illness. Dear Lord in heaven, this is where we start praying, and we will be praying, okay? Because I think God's going to put this in God.
Well, one thing that you've either fast forwarded through or what on there, and don't go back to it because it's not. I just tell you what he was saying is, this is just going to become everyday life. It's going to become like the seasonal flu, honey. It's not the seasonal flu. People don't drop like flies from the seasonal flu. They don't quarantine millions and millions and millions of people.
Well, you won't have to quarantine if you just give every person imagine a vaccine that you could give every person in the entire world because everybody's so afraid of it.
Right. This is a really big deal, guys. When it comes to coronavirus, and I don't want anybody to be afraid. We have had 15 cases here in the United States so far that are documented. I don't know, maybe Britt Baza can tell me. I think there's been around that many, maybe twice as many in the UK so far. We have a better way of dealing with this than the Chinese. So I'm not going to throw out a bunch of conspiracy theories as to why that is. But I do believe that whatever is going on, China doesn't want the United States in on it. Okay. But we do 8 people in the UK, Britt Baza says. Stuart the Brit said the same thing. Okay, I thought it was more, but 8, that's good. That means it's staying contained. I'm not afraid for Western societies. I think we can do a good job. But what I do believe that Donald Trump needs to do is stop imports from China from coming in. I think that they need to do that in the UK.
So what this is gonna do, guys, like, we either live with it or we live without China.
Yeah.
That's the only 2 choices.
Yep.
And I hope that Donald Trump says,
we'll live without China.
We'll live without China. We'll live without Chinese goods. We'll live without Chinese people coming over.
I'm not going to sugarcoat what that looks like for the United States. If you like Walmart, they may not be here anymore. Okay? Look in your house. Just about everything you see is made in China.
Medical supplies are made in China.
Everything is made in China. So, will Donald Trump make that choice?
I don't know. 1 week after the White House asked scientists to finally investigate whether the COVID coronavirus was bioengineered, none other than CNBC jumped on the bandwagon and, echoing a similar question by Senator Tom Cotton and, of course, Zero Hedge, said maybe the coronavirus was man-made. All of this is taking place as the mainstream media, whose purpose is similar to that of Beijing in minimizing public concerns and panic, even if it means fabricating reality, presses on with the popular theory that the virus emerged from the Wuhan seafood market. We recently showed why this appears very unlikely, while branding anyone who suggests that the coronavirus might have originated as a bioweapon developed in a secretive Wuhan lab as a deranged conspiracy theorist that we don't believe that bats did this. Okay? Indeed, just today, the FT report that Trevor Bedford of the Fred Hutchinson's Cancer Research Center in Seattle rubbished stories circulating on social media that coronavirus was created at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. This has now changed, however, with what may be a smoking gun report first noted by Harvard to the Big House from a scientist at the prestigious South China University of Technology in Guangzhou, China. A preprint published by Batao Zhao and Li Yao, The Possible Origins of Coronavirus. It says this: the 2019 nCoV has caused an epidemic of 28,060 laboratory-confirmed infections and 564 deaths in China. 2 descriptions of the virus published on Nature this week indicated that the genome sequence from patients were almost identical to the bat COVID ZC45 coronavirus. It was critical to study where the pathogen came from and how it passed into human. An article published on the Lancet report that 27 of 41 infected patients were found to have contact with the Wuhan seafood market in Wuhan. We noted 2 laboratories conducting research on bat coronavirus in Wuhan, one of which was only 280 meters from...
20 miles.
20 miles from the seafood market. We briefly examined the histories of the laboratories and proposed that the coronavirus probably originated from a laboratory. Our proposal provided an alternative origin of the coronavirus, in addition to natural recombination and intermediate hosts, and an especially ominous conclusion. In summary, somebody was entangled with the evolution of the 2019 coronavirus. In addition to origins of natural recombination and intermediate hosts, the killer coronavirus probably originated from a laboratory in Wuhan. Who is Beto, and should anyone listen to him? Well, the Zhao group study mainly in the fields of cellular and molecular biomechanics, single molecule biophysics, and engineering, way above our heads. Current research areas are protein ligand interactions, DNA and RNA assembly, high thorough point nanometer measurements and manipulation, mathematical modeling, and quantitative analysis. The experimental techniques include magnetic tweezers, optical tweezers, biomembrane force probe, fluorescent microscopy, genetic engineering, and chromatography. An project example is using high throughout single molecule techniques to study the modulation of protein drugs on interactions. We collaborate with a number of well-known universities and institutions. But what is far more interesting, that's a very, you know what, if I can't say it, that's probably a good resume. Far more interesting and more important is that the paper was supported by Chinese National Natural Science Foundation, which means that the paper would likely never see the light of day if someone in Beijing did not stand to gain politically by endorsing the contrarian theory that a Wuhan biolab was indeed the source of the infection. Which begs the question, is China's political elite set to change the narrative it has been spinning since day one about the origins of coronavirus, and in order to appease an increasingly angry population, points the finger to one or more scientists at the Wuhan Center of Disease Control and Prevention, perhaps even the same scientists we highlighted 2 weeks ago, as led to a Twitter ban. And until we eagerly await the answer, here is the gist of Popo's paper. And I guess Bodo's paper. So the coronavirus has caused the epidemic of a bunch of people. 2 descriptions of the virus published on Nature this week indicate the genome sequence from patients were 96% or 89% identical to this bat coronavirus originally found in the Rhinophilus. It was critical to study where the pathogen came from and how it passed on to humans. It says that the bats carrying the coronavirus ZC45 were originally found in Yunnan or Zhejiang province, both of which were more than 900 kilometers away from the seafood market. Bats were normally found to live in caves and trees, but the seafood market is in a densely populated district of Wuhan. The possibility was very low for bats to fly to the market. According to municipal reports and the testimonies of 31 residents and 28 visitors, the bat was never a food source in the city, and no bat was traded in the market. There was possible natural recombination or intermediate host of the coronavirus, yet little proof has been reported. Was there any other possible pathway? We screened the area around the seafood market and identified the 2 laboratories. Okay? So the 2 laboratories. The WHCDC hosted animals in laboratories for research purposes, one of which was specialized in pathogens collection and identification. In one of their studies, 155 bats, including the Rhinophilus aphelis, was captured in the Hubei province, and another 450 bats were captured in the Zhejiang province. The expert in collection was noted in the author contributions. Moreover, he was broadcasted for collecting viruses on nationwide newspaper websites. He described that he was once attacked by bats, and the blood of a bat shot on his skin. He knew the extreme danger of infection, so he quarantined himself for 14 days. In another accident with bats, he quarantined himself again because the bats peed on him. He was once thrilled for capturing a bat carrying a live tick.
What happened to him? Thrilled?
Yeah, because he found with a live tick on it, so he could get the blood out.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure. Surgery was performed on the caged animals, and the tissue samples were collected for DNA and RNA extraction and sequencing. This is Jurassic Park. Dude, 20 miles away, they've got the bats. They've got the bats in the laboratory.
Why are people
and they're working on it, and
this?
they've got one, this coronavirus. They have it.
I know.
At that place.
But somehow it's a naturally occurring thing.
Well, get this. Surgery was performed on the caged animals, and tissue samples were collected for DNA and RNA extraction. The tissue samples and contaminated trash were a source of the pathogens. They are only 20 miles from the seafood market. It could have been tissue samples from the bats that they have infected got into the trash that spread to the seafood market.
So yes and no. It could be. But I think
it's possible that the virus leaked around and some of them contaminated the initial patients in this epidemic.
I think it's a little bit more nefarious than that. But even if it's not, it still came from the weapons lab and not from the market.
This laboratory reported that the Chinese horseshoe bats were natural reservoirs for the severe SARS that caused the 2002 pandemic. The principal investigator participated in a project which generated this. So
going back to SARS,
so
did we see these kinds of measures taken when SARS?
No,
happened?
Not the quarantines. Not these quarantines. No.
Did we see travel bans? I mean, honestly,
no,
I don't remember.
No,
did we see travel bans in 2002?
No, we didn't.
So, so that CDC guy coming out and saying, well, it's probably just going to be something we're going to get used to.
But SARS isn't around. Like, we don't have that outbreak. Why are we have to get used to this?
This is going to become like seasonal flu.
I don't understand. Did he say that about SARS?
I mean, could you imagine that with the nonchalance?
Yeah.
That he said that.
And then he didn't say vaccine, did he? He said no. We just need 1 or 2 years to get ahead of this, to get it,
Guys, again,
do
not panic.
Right.
Do not be afraid.
Right.
Okay. I'm not saying put all your faith in big government that they're going to just take care of it all. Okay. But
God is going
to. I believe that God is moving this, and I'll just tell you flat out on the show. I am holding back 90% of what I write in my journals and text to my friends, but I will tell you this. I believe that God is going to allow this to happen to break Americans and Western societies from dependence on China.
Let's do it this way. I believe that God will use something that's horrible for his glory.
Yeah. And that would be to break people from the dependence of China.
He can use something
to also allow
to turn around for
the
good.
Chinese people
to get freed.
To get free from their oppressive governments. I said this in our group text. We have seen over the past 2,000 years empires, regimes, communist regimes rise and fall.
Right.
Rome was never, ever, ever, ever supposed to fall. People would have staked their lives. They would have bet their homes. They would have bet their first child that Rome would never fall.
Mm-hmm.
How many people would do the same thing about China? China will never fall. Christianity will never rule in China. Well, guess what?
It will.
My God is so huge. Okay, and all you end timers out there believing that we are in the tail end of the last days.
18 lines of cruise ships, by the way, so you can't really cruise in Asia on Carnival cruises.
The gospel has to be preached to the entire ends of the world first. Okay? So China, at some point, is going to fall to the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's not what I want.
Is going to come to their knees and fall to the gospel of Jesus Christ. Is it going to happen in our lifetime? I hope so. Is it going to happen because of this? It's possible. So as Christians in the United States, as Christians in the UK, your prayers should be directed at those Christians in China to support them, to bolster them. Guys, this is such... I mean, like you said, I'm not saying that God is making this happen at all, but God can use it.
Yeah.
There's such an opportunity to take ground.
Right.
Here. It's amazing.
I think you're absolutely right. And I don't want to just, I've got 3 videos I want to show you, and then we're going to sing a song. This one from Tucker Carlson.
And when it turned out there weren't, they never apologized. They never assessed. They never made any kind of inventory of their own dumbness and just moved on to the next disaster. Those exact people are like, oh, yeah, she's immoral. She's a tool of whomever. It's the same with Putin. It's like, why am I supposed to hate Putin again? Speak slowly so I can understand. I don't want to live in Russia. I don't speak Russian. I have zero interest. I've never visited Russia. I have no interest in Russia. But tell me why I should hate an election. Really, the influence that Putin exerts over American elections pales by comparison to the influence that China and other countries exert, including a bunch of creepy Gulf state countries that really are sort of bad.
You're in front of Tucker.
Much worse than Russia for women and gays and all the groups we're supposed to be worried about, and I am worried about, actually. So, like, stop. This is too stupid. And Tulsi Gabbard's the only person I've ever seen who's like, yeah, I actually don't care what you think. I'm from Hawaii. Who even knows where that is? I'm like, you know, I've got an 11-hour flight home every week. I've got, like, inner peace or whatever. You know, she's a Hindu. And I served in the U.S. military, and if you don't like it, that's your problem. And that's the level of bravery that I admire, period. Plus, she's super nice.
We have a vote.
All right. Okay, so these are a couple little videos here that I want to play.
Do this one first?
Do the last one first. So when you accidentally find a Trump supporter in the New Hampshire primary. So funny.
They don't see it as plausible, but I want to talk to... we have a voter out here. Sir, you were watching, so you're going to be on television now. Can you tell us who you voted for?
Donald John Trump.
You voted for Donald John Trump?
Yeah.
Look at that. Bernie Sanders is not appealing to you?
The whole ideology would be destructive to the country. It's anti-growth. It's anti-family. It's anti-American. And as a Roman Catholic, it's anti-life.
I don't see it as plausible, but I want to talk to...
There you
we have a voter.
They were trying to
That's a whoops. See, this is what happens when you go live.
Right, exactly.
Bad things can happen.
So here are just some random things for Valentine's Day I want you to watch. Happy stories.
Oh dear. What is that?
I honestly thought that was kind of like an example of ministering to people. Some people are violent beasts and you should stay away from them. And some people just need to be set free. And when they become the best, most loving people on the face of the planet.
Right.
And that's what the gospel is all about. Spreading that love of Jesus. Yeah, there should be one more up there.
Okay, here.
And then this I thought was fun because this guy answer a math question and you get 5 seconds to get whatever you want.
Love is love. I got a question for you. If you get this question right, you have 5 seconds to pick up whatever you want. If you have 10 apples, minus 4 oranges, how much apples does that leave you with?
10 apples minus 4 oranges, I have 10 apples left.
5, 4, 3, 2.
He's going for the ice cream.
2 1/4. 2 2/4.
Oh my God.
Yo,
Speaker, got you.
Speaker right there. Speaking me that one right there. All right, cool.
Dope. So the question is, what goes up but never comes down? Age. 5, 3, 2, 2 1/4. 1. Yeah.
That is so fun.
Love is love. I got a question for you. If you get.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable. Was there another one?
No, that's it. That's my Happy Valentine's. I want you guys to leave on a happy note. And again, watch our Rogue Freedom Conference show that we did on Tuesday. Very exciting. Getting back to natural food, and maybe we won't need so much from China. God is going to work this all around. God's on the move. Hallelujah. You want to play your song?
I don't know if we have time. It seems kind of late.
Well, I was going to either play that or the I Love You More Than Pumpkin Pie song.
Oh, we can play that one. That's fine. Hang on. I don't like our color right now.
Racist.
There we go. I know.
I think you should play your song.
No, just play it. It's fine. No, this is a good one. So, we wrote this song a long time ago, and we ended up singing it at our grandma's funeral. And then when Grandma Marilyn passed away, she was not our biological grandma, but she was our adopted grandma. She was our grandma's best friend. We ended up writing verses for her as well, that we sang at her funeral.
In that stack around the corner, I have it typed out.
Go through it because I don't know. It's a giant stack.
Well, why don't you read some comments because we didn't actually get any.
Okay, amen. God is making big moves for His glory, says awakenings and new beginnings. Robin Poe says we need to learn to sew. Many clothes are constructed in China. Here's the deal about that, actually. I think about that in some sort of zombie apocalypse type scenario. There's a lot of clothes out there that exist already. I don't think we're going to be running around naked. And having to sew our own clothes. There's a lot of Goodwills, and you know what? A lot of times, like I have clothes. I have enough clothes that I could probably clothe at least 4 other girls, and they could wear clothes for at least 4 years. Sure. Okay, if they were my size, and I would still have enough clothes. Let's see. Adeline's praying at the end of the show. I love that she does that. Let's see. I would grab the cash register. I don't think that's part. It has to be something that was for sale.
I think
in
so
that video.
Too.
Donna Terry says, "I say bats my foot. It's not the bats." Patriot Gallery says, "No atheists in foxholes or pandemics. God help me. God save me. God be our citadel and fortress."
Amen.
Amen. On Periscope, Infidel wants to know, are y'all sisters? No. Yes, of course we are. We are sisters. Leah is 3 years older. I'm 3 inches taller. There's that. We own a farm, a homestead together. We own a business together. We own a home together. And I was thinking about it today, you know, it being Valentine's Day. I'm going to preview what's in your card here. We do Valentine's here, and we haven't given them to each other yet. You know, we're not married yet. We will be married one day, Lord willing, and have our own homes and children and so on and so forth. But, you know, a lot of people get really disappointed on Valentine's Day when their significant other doesn't do what they would like, or they don't have a significant other, and they make this entire holiday on romance. And I wrote to you in your card, I am previewing your card here. People search their entire lives for a relationship like Leah and I have. And what I mean by that is one of complete and utter understanding. We can talk to each other about anything. We can speak to each other about anything. And we know in any given situation, our spirits, through the Holy Spirit, are going to align and come up with the same answer. And if they don't, they're close, and we can talk it through. And we're in it forever. There's no divorce. There's no, I'm going to leave you. There's no, I mean, turn my back on you, you know. And so I am so blessed. I will be blessed with more people that God brings in my life, or children, or you will too. But the reason why I have this relationship is because God gave you to me, or me to you, because I was born after, as a gift. And you are a representation of Christ. And so even if you don't have a Leah or a Michelle or a husband or a wife or children, you're all alone, you can have this relationship with Jesus Christ. And what's more, it's even better, because there are things that I would want to do for Leah that I can't. It's not within my power to do for her, but Jesus can. It's unlimited what Jesus can, and what his desire, his love towards you. You can have that.
And I do shout out to Patriot Galley, because she was the one who really taught us what Christ's love was all about.
Right.
And I got to tell you guys, she did not, no one taught her.
Yeah.
But you know what she says? She says, when she saw me as a baby, she knew love for the first time.
Right.
And you have to be willing to receive love to understand it. Okay? God has somebody in your life to love you, or for you to love.
Yeah.
You have to just recognize that person.
Right.
Okay? And if you don't, God will give you that person when you turn to Him.
Yeah.
To love. And it may not be the romantic love that you're looking for, but it is love, because God wants you to love people on this earth.
Right. Kelly PB Fam says we should have Valentine's Day any day of the year, not just one day.
Amen.
Amen. Robin says, behold how good and how pleasant it is for believers to dwell together in unity. Psalm 133. Amen.
I love you more than I love pumpkin pie. With my love for you, I think I could reach the sky. And I love you more than I love those Star Wars flicks, yeah. Your love covers me like a hen covers her chicks. And I love you more than I love those rainbow hues, yeah. With you by my side, I can never lose. See, you've got my heart, you've got all of me, all of me. And I'll follow you across the sea, mountain, desert, valley. I don't care, I don't care. As long as I've got you, that's all that matters. And that fading flower, God's glorious beauty, yeah. This is on a hill of a fertile valley. It's just like the world right before the harvest. As soon as He sees it and takes it into His hands, in that day the Lord Almighty will be a beautiful crown and a beautiful wreath for the remnant
gonna sing our grandma's verse. Do you have that one written down? Or just Grandma Marilyn's?
I just have Grandma Marilyn.
That's right. We'll sing Grandma Marilyn's verse.
I love you more than I love QVC. I'm walking with you and I truly have peace. I love you more than I love arranging flowers. Your love covers me like a fresh spring shower. And I love you more than I love a mocha frappe. Praising your name is how I start each day. See, you got my heart, you got all of me. All of me. And I'll follow you across the sea. Mountain, desert, valley, I don't care. I don't care. As long as I got you, that's all that matters. And I love you. I think Grandma's word. I love you more than I love a T-bone steak. Yeah, with you by my side, and life can be so great. And I love you more than I love those lavender hues. Yeah, with you by my side, I can never lose. I think there's a couple more Grandma's verses.
And I love you like I love beautiful flowers.
Oh. And I love you more than I love beautiful flowers. Your love covers me like a fresh spring shower. And I love you more than I love those lavender hues. Yeah, with you by my side, I can never lose. See, you got my heart, you got all of me, all of me. Mountain, desert, valley, I don't care. I don't care. As long as I got you, that's all that matters. And that fading flower, God's glorious beauty, yeah, set in the midst of a fertile valley. It's just like the world right before the harvest. As soon as he sees it and takes it into his hands, in the day the Lord Almighty will be a beautiful crown and a beautiful wreath for the remnant of his people. He will be a spirit of justice. That fading flower, that fading flower, that fading flower, that fading flower. And I love you more than I love those lavender hues, yeah.
That's good enough. All right. Okay. I love that song. It's a perfect and fitting Valentine's Day song. This is a song that to me, every time I sing it, invokes love that I have for my grandmother and her best friend, our adopted grandma. And it's not a romantic love.
No.
And so stop it with that. Valentine's Day has to be a romantic holiday.
I think you should sing your song.
No, it's time. Oh my gosh, we're pushing 3 hours here.
Okay.
Oh, I can sing my song another time. We love you guys. God loves you.
You are loved. You are loved. You are
Stop
loved.
it.
I got it.
We will be back here on Sunday at 1 p.m. for our European and world news. We're not going to stop talking about the coronavirus. They're going to keep covering up stuff. They're going to keep trying anyway. And more stuff is going to keep coming out. It's not going away. But God is your protector.
We have a card.
Oh, that's right. It's upstairs. Actually, maybe.
Yeah, you have to.
There were these mail calls that somebody had sent. Somebody wrote a note here. Leah,
we did that one.
We didn't. We didn't do any of these.
I thought we did.
Leah, I hope you're feeling better. That's not why I write. I want to thank you for
giving me
a word on the timing of as it should be. This is This is a Resistance Chicks broadcast on the 12th of January. Interesting date. You can say 1/12/20. Yes, times are 2:02:02 as in regard to the reference above. So somebody had sent that. I think there was a note here inside too. P.S. A couple of branches eucalyptus leaves steamed in a pot with a cover on the end. Breathing the vapors with a towel over your head will clear congestion 2 times a day is good. So they just signed it T. So I had meant to get to that a while ago. Maia's family is absolutely gorgeous. I don't think I need to cover up their names, but this is their Christmas card that they sent.
They should be on the cover of a magazine.
They should be on the cover of a magazine. Let's see. I don't think that one's important. And then this one we never even opened. And then I do have one upstairs that I need to go and get to. Let's see. I'm sorry we never got to the mail call. It was always, the show was so long. Now, I always tell you guys, and I haven't read this yet, but I think with Elizabeth this is okay, because she sent stuff before. If you do not want us to read your letters on air,
you have to let
you
us
need
know.
to let us know ahead of time as soon as it's like right there. Dear Leah and Michelle, hope all is well on God's little acre. Hello from the DC suburbs and Old Dominion. Obviously, a lot is going on in the news about Virginia. This was written on the 11th. I live in Fairfax County, which is about 10 to 15 minutes from DC on a good traffic day. Much has been said about the urban areas of Virginia, Northern Virginia, and Richmond being very liberal and steering the state. This is very true. The area where I live doesn't seem much different than an urban area in the north. About 50% of the people who live in Fairfax County were not born in the United States.
Wow.
And the voting reflects the tendency of foreign-born individuals to vote Democrat.
Wow.
When I first moved here, I lived in an apartment complex where I was only one of 2 Caucasian families in my building. My neighbors were Indian, Korean, Latin American, and 3 apartments of women wearing hijabs and clothing that Muslim women would wear. I honestly don't know what nations they may have originated from. However, a 30-minute drive to the west puts you close to the start of the Bible Ridge Mountains. The Blue Ridge Mountains. I'm so loosely reading the Bible Belt. Rural countryside and an entirely different world. I identify much more with that world and mindset and only remain here due to a good-paying job that is allowing me to save up for my future. Don't get me wrong, Northern Virginia and Virginia itself has a lot of things to do, and it's never a dull moment, but I truly am worried about the future of Virginia. I am a single female who lives alone, and a goal for this year was to obtain some firearms training and a CCW permit, and we'll see
if that's even a reality.
Keep Virginia in your prayers. Liz, another note I forgot to include, several months ago you did an entire series on the Marian apparatus in Medjugorje. When I was about 3 years old, I saw an apparition of Mary and Jesus in the sky above my grandparents' farm in rural Pennsylvania. They had 10 acres, and the house on the front acre, something pasture at the back of the property. I remember looking out of the picture window in their kitchen and seeing this immense picture of Mary holding the baby of Jesus. It was night, but the apparition glowed and looked similar to an Orthodox icon. Mary had a halo of silver and had silver stars of blue dress, and Jesus had a gold halo. I remember asking my family if it was fireworks, but neither parents or grandparents could see what I was seeing. My father told me years later that after that happened, every time we would go to my grandparents, I would run to the window and ask if I was going to see the Star Lady again. I was not afraid. I just remember thinking the picture was so big, it took up the night sky, and why it was there. Thought this would be of interest to you. Best wishes, Liz. Well, thank you for that, Liz. Thank you for your insight into Virginia.
Yeah.
And anytime we can get
first-hand
information and experiences from all topics that we cover.
Yeah,
this is really important.
Exactly.
This is what I experienced. I had this experience as a child. I'm never going to ever take that away from anybody. I'm not going to say that that wasn't true. I want to hear your stories. Whatever you have to share, we want to hear it here on our show.
And obviously the difference between Medjugorje is that these children, you can go get the card while I say that, the other one. The difference between obviously that and the Medjugorje is that the children, supposedly they had this apparition from Mary, and then the kids started telling all the the priests what to do, and they're still seeing these apparitions, and it's not so much they're seeing apparitions, it's that they're hearing messages, and they've become these like super rich prophets, and that's why it's gone off the rails. I have no problem with people saying that they see apparitions of Mary, because God does show us things, and we all see things in a different light.
All right, this is from Rhonda Ford. I can say her last name. She's in the chat as Rhonda Ford. There are certain people who, without even knowing it, make this world a little brighter and a little nicer.
The front of that card.
That is adorable. Michelle, Leah, and PG. Oh, and then it says, did you know you're one of those special people? You really are special people and bring very good, informative news. We hope you will always have a YouTube channel, but if not, I am sure all of us who watch will find you somewhere else, no matter what. I am sure I speak for a lot of people, Rhonda Ford.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Rhonda. So thank you, Liz, Rhonda, T, whoever you are.
We absolutely love getting letters from you guys because it means you're real. I love to hear where you're coming from. We really like emails and messages, but to just like, oh, this is a legit real person.
Right.
Real people. We're touching real people, and we're having communications with real people. And this lettering, I don't think it's going to give anything away. This little stationery was so pretty that she wrote this on.
Yeah.
Flowers. Okay.
Oh, Rhonda's here!
Yay!
Oh,
I'm so glad. And then she makes it even more when
exactly.
People are here.
She says, "You're welcome. Love you, ladies. We love you guys too. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without your encouragement and all the stuff that you guys send us and stuff like that, and sharing. It means the world to us.
Exactly.
So happy Valentine's Day
to you all.
To you all from us here at God's Little Acre, Kansas Cowboy, Leah, myself, Patriot Gallery, even Uncle Jack.
Uncle Beans.
We call him Uncle Beans because we used to call Jasper Beanie.
We love Beanie.
All right. So remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. Today was a long show. Thank you for sticking with us. We have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters, we will read them on air unless otherwise noted. So thank you for that. It's really, really enjoyable. Don't put any personal information there. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. I hope your Saturday is warmer than ours. It's going to be cold tomorrow. Cold for Mr. Rooster here tonight.
But it's good for the ground to dry out.
But it is good for the ground to...
Like there's nothing like a good hard freeze that just gets that water out.
Right.
And then the water drains right through like the creek rather than just in the ground. It goes to the creek better.
Yeah. We've got a lot of projects going on around here.
So many projects.
Once this... we will be
I can't wait to show you the project that we're going to do on our back fence line because our neighbor is illegally draining water into our yard. Did I mention it was illegal?
But we are doing
we're not going to sue it. We're not going to sue him.
Neighborly thing.
But I am going to publicly shame. Publicly shame!
You're terrible.
Why not?
Because we have just come back around.
Publicly shame.
With our neighbors.
Publicly shame.
To get along with them.
Right, so I'm not going to sue. I'm just publicly shame.
Okay. We wish that they would have done something about this when they built their house and instead have literally thousands and thousands and thousands of square feet worth of water
gushing into
our backyard so we can't grow grass. So we're going to put in a French drain and we're going to take the higher ground literally. Haha. Okay. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless.
I was cold.